So, thanks. Tonight, we're going to be watching the Accusation stream where Taylor, wife of Scotty and sister-in-law of TJ of DFF, accused Ben of the Drunken Peasants of date rape. First off, I want to recognize that this is a controversial topic, and I understand that. It deals with incredibly sensitive topics concerning the performers that some of you feel a very intimate connection with. There's inflammatory topics here like date rape, rape allegations, possible false allegations, sexual abuse, defamation, and just overall predatory behavior. So if you don't want to think about those things today, or if you just generally are one of the pure souls on the internet who doesn't like drama, it's a good time to just not watch this video and check out. This is not the video for you. Now, for the rest of us, I do want to say that we are going to review the evidence that we do have first. So the first part of this, we're going to establish a timeline of the allegations and what exactly occurred and what we can kind of piece together through DMs and stuff of what actually happened. Now, we're not going to come to a solid conclusion of whether or not this actually happened. There is no way to know that, right? We can't actually know. The act itself is kind of an unfalsifiable hypothesis, but what you are going to see is that it seems unlikely based on the evidence we have, and all of the evidence that we do have suggests that Taylor consented to the encounter, remembered the encounter, was an enthusiastic participant in the encounter, and tried to have subsequent encounters with Ben. So at the time that they were together and after that, and in every communication she had with him since that we're privy to, again, there are communications we don't have, right? But it seems like she did not consider it rape at that time, and later on came to the realization that she was assaulted. There's also other things tangentially that we'll get into that may have informed the reason why the accusations were released and why they were released the way they were released and at the time they were released. So there's a lot we're going into. So I guess we'll get started then. Let's see. What do I want to pull up first here?
Waltz in D flat.
I'm going to move this over here. I'm going to pull this up here. So what we're looking at is the actual flight that Taylor took to get to Santa Fe. Just to give you an introduction to how Ben and Taylor met, according to her, she said she was interested in going to the Drunken Peasants Albuquerque meetup that occurred, I believe, on January 31st, 2017. Once she did that, Ben reached out to her in DMs. The reason being he probably was trying to sleep with her, right? He saw an attractive woman who was going to his meetup and decided to try to bang a groupie, I think is what happened there. Just in my opinion, right? That seems like what happened. They reached out and they talked, and there was some exchanging of, messages. We have some of those. Now, in those messages here, you can see the itinerary that I just showed you. Let me get it. The reason that we know this is the itinerary is because here we see DMs between Taylor and Ben. So this is from January 17th, 2017, it looks like. And they're talking about the trip, right? So here I've got to sell my other car. I think I'm going to end up just getting a room at your hotel anyway and just paying myself back. I see it's a really nice place, and then I bet it will be. And then she sends him this picture that we just looked at. It's blurry on this image, but it's here. It is. I'm just gonna put it in. I'm just gonna edit it in. It's the flight itinerary here. So that's the flight I'm going to take. That way we have most of the day and Wednesday and Thursday. Most of the day on Wednesday and Thursday together. So she was going to fly out there on Wednesday, February 1st, and return on Thursday, February 2nd, 2017. Now, how do we know that these are the actual DMs between Ben and Taylor is a valid question. and we should always check the evidence. So there are a few places that we can get these from. One of them is from the Jeff Holiday stream that I linked in the last video about this topic, that I'll also link in this description, where Ben directly gave Jeff Holiday their communication. So when the evidence first came out, Jeff Holiday, I don't know why Ben is letting Jeff Holiday make these decisions for him, but I mean, he probably has experience with it, I would imagine. But Jeff Holiday said in the stream that he did that he told Ben to ignore it, to not react to it. You're only going to make it worse. I suppose maybe there is some wisdom to that. And then he went on to divulge that I have the DMs here and we're going to go over them. So actually everything we're going over right now has already been talked about on a stream with Jeff Holiday as far as the DMs go. Now, there are some things that I think they didn't maybe mention that they should have in those streams that we're going to go over too. So there's going to be a lot more to it. So that's one source, right? The other source that we have is Ben himself. So last summer on Reddit, of all places, Ben decided to, for whatever reason, a lot of people on the subreddit, the different DFF hater subs, randomly brought up that Ben, date rape Taylor, started talking about these accusations again. And Ben, who does interact with the fan community regularly of both shows, it seems, he went on and he defended himself. And so we do have this video that Ben released personally last summer to Nick4286. Nick4286 was the idiot on Reddit who started reciting the allegations like they were fact. So this is Ben himself, for whatever reason, deciding that he's gonna go and show the DMs. So this is his evidence. He's looking through this. He's scrolling through this for everyone to see.
All right. This is a recording for Nick4286, someone who thinks they know what they're talking about, but is just kind of following whatever they hear in the rumor mill, and they're repeating it with confidence as if it's true when it's patently false.
So what he's talking about is these people, there really aren't that many of them, but there are a couple of people who will go across social media and constantly bring up the allegations and try to use them to defame Ben. So this is his video saying that you're wrong. I didn't rape Taylor. Taylor lied. And, this is his defense that he's sending to this other person. He's saying, you don't know what you're talking about. You're just repeating things like fact when you don't know. And that's something that I've noticed too, with some of the people that will make these allegations. They'll recite them like they're truth, when the truth is we don't know for sure, right? But I want people to notice, and there's a greater reason why we're doing this, and that's because I want people to notice the religious kind of cult brain that some of the fans of DFF, the more sycophantic fans, who will take things like this and just believe them whole cloth and start running with them. I want you to notice how these people, how the people who still sort of just go out and defend the allegations and recite them like they're gospel truth without thinking skeptically about them, or without even saying like, it seems likely this happened. Here are the reasons why I believe the allegations. Instead of that, we just get a lot of like people reciting the scripture to you. It is very cult-minded, it seems. And these are just people who will believe allegations without evidence, which, it is sort of disheartening and disappointing coming from fans in TJ's community, although I guess not surprising since TJ has abandoned skepticism for wishful thinking now. Anyways, tangent.
I do not have the ability to delete messages on other people's ends. Here's all the messages on my end.
So what that's referring to is, it's not going to come up in the stream we watched tonight, but like I said, in response to the stream we watched tonight, Jeff Holiday did his stream, and then Jamie Darkay did a stream reacting to that without Taylor present, and said that the reason that Taylor doesn't have DMs or can't show DMs is because Ben deleted the DMs on her end for her. As I don't know for sure if that's Taylor claiming that, but that is what Jaime claims that Taylor says on their second stream, responding to the Jeff Holiday stream. Here we can see Facebook messages. Now, when you delete messages in Facebook Messenger, you can delete like your end of the conversation, but you can't delete the other person's end of the conversation, right? So we've tested this out with a couple of messaging apps, and when you go to Facebook Messenger, it's the same thing. We did the test also on that last summer when I was researching all this. We tested that out. So on Reddit, it's like that too. So for example, Paul blocked me on Reddit. So he basically deleted all his DMs to me. So I can only see like my end of the conversation that we had. And that seems like common across most big messaging apps. You can't delete what the other person said for them. So anyways, let's get back to this.
Here's the LSD.
Ben sounds so fucking cooked in this.
He probably is.
He's been on Reddit all night, like high as shit. Look, so you can see like this is just him scrolling down. He has the infamous "I fucked you when we were both high." I imagine it would be pretty incredible on LSD message here. This is her talking about her dad. Just shit like people in relationships would say to each other. And the date on this is May 3rd, 2017. So this is 3 months after Santa Fe. They're still talking like this.
Message right here. This was in May of 2017. I met with her in early February of 2017. So this was months later. Here she is telling me I look sexy in May.
Good for you, Ben.
May 3rd, 2017. Here she is telling me that she's falling in love with me and that he is nothing to worry about. I wonder who she's talking about.
She's talking about Scotty, in case you don't know. And we'll get into that too as we watch the allegation stream. Yeah. You know, I've been dreading because like I've spent the last like week like editing the parts of it that we need. And I'm dreading like watching this and going through everything because, you know, I do feel like a good amount of responsibility to actually like say the things I need to say at the right time I need to say it, like make sure that I have all the relevant evidence like in my mind, you know, ready to go at the right time. So I'm a bit stressed about that. But this is going to be a lot of fun tonight, I think. I'm like, there's a lot of shit we're going to look into. There's going to be a lot of twists and turns. Who knows?
I can keep going and going and going and going and going and going and going. See, she would send me selfies telling me she missed me. May. Man hath no fury like a woman scorned.
Ben's perspective from what I have gathered is that he completely believes this is malicious on Taylor's part. I don't think now there's a couple of possibilities, right? There's the possibility that Taylor, that this did happen and that Taylor's being honest and genuine. There's that possibility that we must consider. And then there's the possibility that she's not, that either it didn't happen and that she knows it didn't happen, or that it didn't happen and she was gaslit into changing her mind that it happened. And when you look at all the evidence, it seems like one of the latter two options is most likely. I'm going to present a little bit of info that might kind of shed light on why, the DFF camp would have incentive to put out these lies about Ben. But I don't know for sure. Again, that's just speculation. We don't have good evidence for that like we do with this stuff here. So as we get into it more, we'll explore other possibilities and different evidence that could mean different things.
See, she would send me selfies telling me she missed me. May.
Yeah.
So I think this is enough. Well, it should be enough for any reasonable person, but a lot of people out there aren't reasonable. They want to believe what they want. I have months of correspondence of her trying to see me again and telling me how great our time was together.
Right.
The narrative only flipped later on when lawsuits started coming up into the picture. So there you go.
And that's interesting. I don't know what lawsuit he could be talking about, but hey, who knows? Okay, so we do have that. So just establishing the timeline, right? So we have them together on February 1st is when they met. Let me see if I can find for you the actual DMs there. Let's see. So this is February 1st, 2017 at 3:35 p.m. You can see Taylor sending him pictures from her plane. So she's flying there now. And then whatever he's sending her traveling pictures too. So this is from February 1st. So there should be no doubt really that Taylor flew out there on February 1st, right? So we've established that. That's the first thing I want to establish for you as a fact of the case, is that she flew out on February 1st, the day after the meetup, to Santa Fe, specifically to stay with Ben in his hotel. So according to the itinerary, she was going to fly home the next day. In her story, she says that she extended it from 2 days to 4 days. Actually, she extended it from 1 day to 2 days. And she flew out on the 3rd, the following day in reality. So I want to give you guys this here. So I'm not sure what app this is. Maybe this is basic texting. I don't know. So I miss you already. My heart actually hurts a bit. Mine too. I think you were right about what. You are incredibly easy to get attached to. He knew what was coming.
Yes.
And I'm home.
Best emoji you can send.
I'm home. Good night, sweetheart. February 3rd, 2017 at 8:59 p.m. So by February 3rd, she was home again. So she flew out on February 1st. She extended her flight 1 day, and she flew home on February 3rd. Okay? So those are the facts of the case. That's when she was there. So everybody should know that going forward into what we're about to watch. That's been established for everyone. Okay. So we'll get into the accusation stream now. So the allegations begin with a cringe rap by Jaime Darke, where, I cut out a lot of this, but just so you
Jump.
5 minutes.
jump.
Climb out on the roof. Just jump, motherfucker.
Yeah, I also hate their music because it's really generic and internet produced sounding. But
That sounds way better sped up.
Exactly. If you put it on 1.5, it's pretty good. Or 2x.
What up? Welcome.
I also cut out a lot of it too. All right, so what else? Welcome. We can try to do this on 2x. It'll make my night go faster.
As I've said before, if I was doing this for clout, I would be doing streams about Ben nonstop. I'd have his name in my title. I'd have his picture in my thumbnails like he is in this one. I'd have him plastered all over my channel, and I'd be talking about nothing else. I want to make things clear to people. Anyone who's watching this right now for the drama, anyone who's watching this because they want to know...
Well, they are.
Right. Well, anyone who's specifically watching this for the drama... and because
Anyone who's watching this for the drama, dude, you're premiering the rape allegations after your rap video. Like, this is a show. We're watching a show, right? Like, this is meant to be entertaining. This is meant to tell the internet, hey, look at me. Like, look what I did. Like, right? This is a show that we're watching. We're watching a presentation that's meant to be entertainment.
they want to know what happened with Ben and what's going to happen. Like, I'm going to tell you all right now. If that is all you're interested in, either don't subscribe, or if you want to see my future streams about this shit, subscribe with the plan to unsubscribe when it's done. Because I promise you guys, this is not something I ever...
Everyone unsubscribe from Jaime Darke, Lady Hopium, Zavaria, that channel.
...wanted to fucking get involved in. This is not the kind of channel I ever wanted to become. This is something that I feel like I have an obligation to do on some level, because honestly, I've known you for a while, Taylor, and I've seen you be afraid to talk about this. I've known other people that have been afraid to talk about this, and when I finally came forward...
I'm going to have to edit out that name. So in this video, they talk about some of Ben's other accusers. The person they just said there is did make accusations about Ben lying and cheating on her, which seemed true. As far as I know, never accused Ben of raping her or assaulting her. She has also taken all of her accusations off of the internet. And that's also true of who's the other accuser. So just out of respect for that, I'm not going to go into and it seems like what she said was true as far as Ben cheating on her. Those are the accusations that I've seen from that have now been deleted. I don't know if if she made further allegations. Someone watching this can link those to me, bring that to our attention. If there's more to the story with that I don't know. As far as goes, so there were 2 allegations made by the first one was years before this stream in a Reddit post Then after that, she does her own video with Jaime Darkay, and her story changes a lot based on those. I also have DMs between Ben and threatening to ruin Ben's career. Pictures of them together as a couple from like the week they were together or whatever. And I'm not going to go into that. That's not a part of this video. Are not public figures, and I get the impression that they no longer want anything to do with all this drama. So we're not going to put them in here. If someone else has good concrete evidence and wants to bring that forward, you can do so, and I can respond to that. But as far as this specific video goes, I'm not going to go into or too much. Just know that one of them did make allegations, change their allegations to be more in line of what Taylor says here, and they've pretty much scrubbed their whole persona from the internet.
I was sickened by the fact that no one else was talking about this. No one else would touch this subject.
And
so there are going to be a couple of jump cuts in this, just where they talk about whatever that's not relevant.
the other people, I hope they feel that way as well. And I can tell you that this is very nerve-wracking. I really don't want to have to say a lot of this stuff, and it was really hard to go back and think about all of it. But shit, if I can do it, you can too, So now again, I have talked about this before, not in as big a detail, but I did talk about this years ago. But I just feel like it's a little different. So
Well, you definitely didn't go into as much detail when you came on before. So
no, and I couldn't, and I didn't feel like I was.
So she says she couldn't. So apparently there was another stream that I haven't seen previous where Taylor goes on to Darkay's stream here and hints to the allegations. I haven't seen that stream. If one of you has that stream, you can link it. So she says that she couldn't go into detail. And that's interesting because at the time that this comes out in early 2021, let me just go into it. So there were certain agreements, legal arrangements that were made between Ben and TJ regarding the dissolution of Drunken Peasants and allowing Ben to continue using the channel and producing content under the Drunken Peasants brand, right? It's my understanding that those legal agreements and arrangements, whatever settlements they had, concluded at the end of 2020. Now, there are still NDAs, I think, from what I've gathered, but specifically, TJ after 2020 was no longer tied to the value of DP. That's my understanding of it. So when she says that prior to this, she couldn't come forward, but now she can talk about it, and she hints to this later on in the video. I think I kept that part of it in there too. That could be what it's referring to. That now, it doesn't really matter. The value of Drunken Peasants doesn't really matter at this point because TJ no longer has any financial connection to DP after this, is the impression I get.
Able to. It was had to be more calculated.
I don't have strong evidence for that too. That's just my own conspiracy. So that part of it, take with a grain of salt. I don't have like DMs or anything backing that up.
With my words for reasons, and I haven't talked about it since then. Really, not out of fear. I mean, I know Ben's watching this. I'm not scared of you. More just I didn't want it to affect the people that I love that might have been affected by it, but he's not able to.
So that's what I mean, right? So prior to this, Ben was able, if she had publicly said something, it would have jeopardized the people she loves. I'm like 90%. That's about the legal arrangement between Ben and TJ that concluded in 2020.
Do anymore, so.
Right. I'm glad that you feel strong enough to come forward and be able to talk about this, because there are people that are still afraid of him, and I know of people that there are people close to me that are still hurt by even thinking about Ben, because it's he's affected a lot of people in a lot of different ways, not necessarily just women that he's been involved with. And I will say this, I do believe he uses his platform to not only it's bad enough that he uses his platform to rope in women, and which I think is kind of questionable in the first place. Using your platform to actively seek out dating partners is kind of creepy.
Here, Jaime is condemning Ben for like fucking fans of DP and using that as like a dating pool, and maybe that we can have a discussion about that, right? Like, is that ethical? I don't think that it's really unethical to do that, but I do understand why like people do point to that as being kind of scummy because there is this power imbalance. I don't know. It's worth noting that TJ, Paul, and Scotty, all married fans that are similar age gaps between Ben and the women he's been with. So it's kind of silly. It's like, is she also condemning TJ and Chelsea's relationship here because Chelsea was a fan of TJ that he ended up sleeping with and marrying, and, you know.
If you happen to meet someone that's a fan and, you know, watching you and get to know each other and you form a real relationship, that's one thing. But like, I feel like people who are actively searching members of their audience, which it's kind of clear he's doing that. It's really bad.
Is it?
Aside from that, he also...
I think at a certain time it was. I don't think he's always done that or he's continued to do that. I don't know. But just based around this time, like late 2016, early 2017 specifically, it seems like Ben was in a relationship and also cheating on the woman he was in a relationship with. I don't know if that was a wife or not. I still don't know if he's married. In this, Taylor claims that Scotty says that Ben was married and that he's met his wife. I suppose I could just ask Ben if I really wanted to, if he was married, but I purposely haven't done that because I have wanted to keep that separation, you know, of just focusing on what's relevant to the accusations here. Because whether Ben was married or not, he still cheated on the women he was with at that time, which is a scummy thing to do, right? So, yeah, and it does seem like both Ben and TJ. So in the allegedly when Chelsea and Ben had their encounter, that was at a sort of a DP meetup. And TJ, the reason that happened was because Chelsea was upset that TJ was a fan or something. Allegedly, again, this is just hearsay that I've heard from different sources. That's all I'll say. is that Ben is not the only one who fucked their fans. TJ has a long history of fucking his fans. There was that, you know, in the first Marshall video that we didn't cover, that I'll link for anyone who wants to watch it, where he accuses TJ of being a fucking pedo and shit. He also brings up Kyle, not our precious Kyle Kalinske, but TJ, in between leaving his first wife and marrying his second wife, dated a person named Kyle who was severely mentally ill, and you can go into that. It's a bunch of drama. It seems like TJ took advantage of a mentally ill fan and caused them severe trauma, just from what is available publicly that everyone can watch in Marshall's video. So I mean, this is completely sort of hypocritical to say like Ben's a bad person for fucking their fans when it's a pattern. You know, Paul's dated fans. You know, we all know from Paul just telling us all about his personal life that he slept with 4 women, half of whom know him from Drunken Peasants. So it's like, okay, whatever.
Also uses his platform to silence people, to make people afraid.
And I'm not saying that that's immoral or wrong. I'm not condemning people for that, just to be clear. I'm not taking Jaime's pearl clutching stance of don't fuck your fans. I feel like it's really stupid to fuck your fans, right? Like, I feel like it's like you're not going to have a good real relationship with your fan probably, and that you know, this can happen. Like, you know, so I think it's really dumb to fuck your fans, but hey, I don't know. I mean,
our DM's fans.
And all of that is very problematic behavior. And people need to be aware of that. To give you guys a broader idea, okay, of the situation. I know there's a lot of people talking about, like, oh, false accusations can ruin someone's life and blah, 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 which it can, but...
False allegations can ruin someone's life. So that's another aspect of this. Now, was Ben's life ruined by these allegations? I don't know. If someone, like if I was a known figure and someone made allegations like that about me, I would feel the need, like this psychologically, I would feel the need to constantly defend myself, to right the wrong, to set the record straight, because being a fucking rapist is one of the worst things you can be, right? I don't know, like, how does that not damage you? Like, just to have the world think that terrible thing about you, and to have to go around your life and to try to have a public career and everything with those allegations being made about you, not being able to defend yourself for, you know, whatever reasons, possibly legal reasons, because you're in an NDA, like that's so fucking crazy, right? And like, I don't know how many people believe in the accusations or have even heard them. And I don't know if DP would have like had the decline in viewership and income that it's had regardless of those, but they can't help, right? And what we can see is just even within the fan communities, every few months, some idiot will bring up the allegations and just believe in them like they're fact, right? So
Believe all women.
Yeah, sort of.
Here's the other thing. Rape is woefully criminally underreported. Rape cases that are...
So, and by the way, if you do make false allegations against someone, that is a crime, right? Like, that's a crime, and that's harassment, and that's abusive.
...reported rarely go to trial. On average...
Again, I'm not accusing them explicitly of doing that, right? We're just going to look at the allegations, and we're going to measure what's said here against the evidence that we have.
Only about 13 of 1,000 will get to a prosecutor. That's a 1.3% chance that your case will go in front of someone that will even deem the case whether it's worthy or not to go to court. Then, out of those, only about 7 out of 13 actually go to court.
So here we have rape statistics. So this is sort of a red herring, right? So what she's saying is she's acknowledging that these are just allegations and that there is no good evidence for them, right? She's saying that false allegations can be bad, but also most rapes don't go reported. And even when rapes do go reported, a very small percentage of them go to court. And of the ones that go to court, a very fraction of a percentage get convicted. So she's pointing out, she's sort of poisoning the well here, right? Like saying that, well, you don't have evidence. And then the response to that being, well, do you know how many people are victims of this crime that don't get justice? Like, that's not an appropriate or satisfactory way to answer that criticism. I want to point that out.
The odds of seeing your rapist in court drop.
So Jaime here is trying to skew your perspective going into this.
So a 0.
Because she has an agenda, right? She's not an impartial host interviewer.
0.7%. Then out of that 0.7%, only 18% get convicted, making the final likelihood of anything happening a 0.126% chance. A lot of people say, oh, well, just report it to the police and then it's done. Unfortunately, that's not good enough because it's very clear that as far as police are concerned, rape cases or abuse cases are just more paperwork.
And that's another thing that Paul said too. So that she's sort of responding to the criticism that Paul years later will have that if she was raped, there should have been a police report, right? Now, I'm not going to take that stance, right? I would say that there should be a police report if you're raped. Like, you should do whatever you can to seek justice. And unfortunately, the invasive rape kit, that investigation, you know, that's an important step. And it's cruel and it sucks and it's not fair. But if you want to see justice, those are the steps you take that are going to maximize your chance of seeing justice, right? And if you're going to go out in public and make the allegations, I feel like you should have also done your diligence to have a police record of this. Now, this is irrelevant to this specific case because Taylor didn't decide she was raped until way after, right? So that's that. So what she says here, the criticism she's trying to deflect wouldn't even apply to this scenario.
Looked into, and a lot of times it can't get looked into because if you're on a date with someone and they coerce you or force you into having sex against your will, how do you prove it? What if, and I know there's the fucking conservative meme of, oh, report it right away, otherwise it's your own fault, because then you can do a rape kit. Well, what if they force you to suck their fucking dick? How do you prove that? I'm not saying just believe all women without any skepticism, but take these stories into account, and especially when there are multiple people coming out with similar stories. To me, that adds a hell of a lot more weight. So, okay, so when it came to...
Okay, so I wanted to leave that in there just so to let her... that's her defense of why she, you know, you don't need evidence for this. It's like, you know, they're underreported. So just so everyone knows, that's Jaime's perspective.
To Ben, how did you first meet him, and how did he contact you? How did you first come in contact?
This is like 40 minutes into the actual video, by the way.
Well, my
Oh,
brother was in
wow.
the Army, and he lived in Colorado at the time. He was stationed there.
So Jaime asked Taylor, how did you first contact Ben? How did he first reach out to you? And she gives her life story. She talks about being in the Army, being in the National Guard, being a big fan of TJ giving her the courage to come out as an atheist. Never even gets to it.
I'd seen that that DP was having a meetup in New Mexico, and I'm like, oh, that seems pretty close. It seems close enough to where I could make a detour and maybe go. And so I put on Facebook. They had some kind of Facebook meetup thing.
Right.
And I put on there that I was interested in going. Not that I was, but that I was interested in, because I didn't really know if I could go.
Yeah. I did that too a few times. Never
Yeah. It was very, very soon afterwards that I got a message from someone named Benjamin Kirk. And I didn't know who it was. Like, I don't know, I didn't really get that many messages on Facebook. Now, mind you, I had just gotten divorced, so I would get messages like from people from high school, like dudes that were trying to hit me up or whatever.
Right.
And Benjamin Kirk, too, is... I just noticed like a little bit of redness in her eyes, but whatever. We're all having a good time tonight. But Benjamin Kirk is Ben, right? We all know that, just so everyone knows. That's I don't think Kirk is his last name. Yeah, he goes by it though, for whatever reason. Maybe it's like I'm gonna wear your skin type of thing. Assume your last name.
But I saw that. I'm like, who's Benjamin Kirk? And I clicked on there and it said like hello with a smiley face. And he sent me a photo of himself and it was the dude from the podcast. And to me, like my first thought was, why is this guy messaging me? Like,
That's kind of weird. That's a weird
well,
way
it wasn't weird.
somehow.
It wasn't weird to me then.
Right.
I was just very confused because I was like, I'm just this girl in this small town,
Right.
and like what? Because
Who the fuck
DP,
am
I mean,
Like, how do you know who I am? What?
if these people don't know, like DP was huge
Right.
then.
Right.
It was huge, and so like I've never had something like that happen. I felt invisible, you know.
Right.
One thing I absolutely hate about both Jaime and Taylor, and really all of their sycophants, is that they're so fucking submissive to these people. Like they actually, like I don't get the whole like being, like I understand being starstruck by a celebrity and like, you know, someone you really admire. You know, like if I met Robert Smith, I'm sure I'd behave like an ass just because I'm so starstruck or whatever. If like
Yeah, but you're not like 23.
If like David Lynch rose out of the grave again, I'd be like, you know, that would
Now
be
listen
incredible.
here, Alchemist.
Yeah, yeah. Think about that. Like
You
that would be
think
wild.
about that? We're going to do it in a dream.
Yeah, yeah, sure. That would be his way of doing things, right? He himself could be the fish. That's the ultimate nirvana, is when you pass on, you become someone else's fish.
True.
Some of you might get what that means.
Nobody's going to get it.
There's at least someone out there who will get that. Anyways, but if Robert Smith like asked me to suck his dick, I wouldn't do it. You know, like I wouldn't like I wouldn't. I don't know. Like you have to have your own autonomy and your own self-respect, right? You can admire someone, and I don't even understand like Ben, TJ, Paul. They're not Robert Smith. They're not David Lynch, right? They're not incredible like visionary artists. They make entertainment. It just blows my mind that someone can listen to a podcast and then feel like and like worship that person they're listening to. That's so crazy to me.
I was just like dumbfounded that he would even message me, and he proved to me that it was. I was like, I don't know, like, you might have just gotten this image from the internet or something.
Right.
I don't know how it works. And I guess it just like went from there. So
So. Okay. Yeah. So that.
but yeah, I did not reach out to him.
Right.
I didn't even know he had a Facebook.
Okay. In the beginning.
Okay, so yeah, so how she met Ben, I had to skip over like a 20-minute digression about her life story, but she said she was interested in going to the Albuquerque meetup, and he reached out trying to get in there. He slid into her DMs from that.
Were you interested in him, or was he interested in? Well, he was interested in you. How did he try and make his interest known, or how soon did he make his interest known?
Pretty quickly.
Yeah, immediately.
Yeah,
he sent her like a winky face picture of himself. It's their first interaction.
It's really hard because I don't have the messages anymore. I don't even use Facebook. But in the beginning, it was, I wasn't like super attracted to him. But I didn't think he was. I'm gonna be honest, I didn't think he was bad either.
Right.
But he.
Were you just more like starstruck to like meet him?
I mean, really, yeah. I was just like, it just felt like I kind of felt special. I was just like, why the hell is he talking to me?
Yeah, see, these people need existentialism like nothing else in the world. Like your value, to everyone listening to this, the only meaning you have comes from you, right? Like you are the person who decides who you are, what your value is. That's not something that other people can give you. Even a super cool podcaster, they're not the ones who determine what you mean. That's something that you determine. And that's something you should know because you live and you experience living. Right. You understand yeah, go ahead.
I just want to like get the facts like straight here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She was visiting her brother in New Mexico.
No.
Shut up. She saw that a podcast that she really enjoys happened to have a meetup in the area. And she just like, you know what? I'm going to check it out. It's not that far away from my brother's house. That's what we got going on so far, right?
No. So it's sort of. So she's not at her brother's house. She said she may have gone to her brother's house. She lives in northern Louisiana. I cut that part out. She's in northern Louisiana, and
Just a small town girl.
She got into Drunken Peasants because TJ posted a clip of it on his main channel, and she was a TJ fan. After she got into Drunken Peasants, she said she wanted to go to the meetup in Albuquerque, so fly from Louisiana to New Mexico. Ben, after that, reached out to her and started hitting on her. And then that's where we are so far. You'll remember from her itinerary that she flew from Dallas to Santa Fe. So in order to go to meet Ben, this is how you prove intent, okay, guys? Just so you know. Like, if you're trying to figure out if someone commits a war crime on purpose or not, like, you can look at the circumstances of how they did what they did. This woman drove from Louisiana to Dallas, drove across state lines, flew from Dallas to Santa Fe for one night to fuck Ben. That's how bad she wanted to meet Ben. That's how much she intended to meet Ben. She drove for hours and took a flight to meet him for one night and then go home the next day. Okay? Just so we're establishing intent.
But he made it quickly known that he was interested in me. He was very interested in the fact that I was going to meet up, or he thought I was. I eventually told him, I told him that I wanted to go, I was interested in, like I said, I put interested in, but I didn't really want to go. I'm not really good at going to parties and stuff. I'm not really interested in that kind of thing. So he was interested in getting me to go somewhere else with him since I wasn't coming to the meetup.
Right.
I know that he was trying to get me to go to a different city. Like, they said that they were going to Santa Fe.
Right.
And I had never been outside my hometown, but I don't know, I guess I was just kind of starstruck. I feel like I really would have done anything.
Right. And I can feel that. And I understand, like, that starstruck feeling. I mean, my God, I got it just when TJ gave me a wrench in his chat. And I was like, holy fuck, TJ knows who I am. And honestly, I would have done anything TJ had asked me to at that point, too. I would have been like, oh my God. TJ was like, hey, send me a picture of your dick. I was like, okay.
That's so crazy to me. That's so crazy that just, like, some guy on a podcast you like has that much control over you. At what point does the person not have, like, personal accountability for how much they let people manipulate them?
When they retell the story years later.
And, like, how is the person, like, even supposed to know really that they're manipulating you? Like, if someone, like, if someone who watched my video, like, I talk to people who watch my videos all the time, if one of them, like, started talking to me and shit and having a conversation, I wouldn't assume that I have control over them, that I could get them to, like, come to California and suck my dick on a whim, It's odd to me. Like, how would you even know that someone is that fucking desperate for your approval versus they're just horny and they just want to fuck?
Enthusiastic consent.
Yeah, well, that's what but I mean, she gives enthusiastic consent. She participates in the messages and everything, but then she goes back and says, he had this control over me. It's, I don't know, like, that's, if you're participating enthusiastically, how is he supposed to know that he has that much control over you? Like, is everyone with a public presence just supposed to, like, assume that they have control over everyone? They have more followers than, like,
you see, the more followers you have, the more, like, tiers of, like, skill in your talentry of, like, mind control.
I guess so.
Your persuasion skill goes up.
I feel like of the only, like, YouTubers I've talked to, I've had antagonistic, like, conversations with them all.
That's a you problem.
I don't know, like my favorite YouTuber is probably Kyle, right? And if he reached out to me, so I had some conversation with him for some reason, I wouldn't be like, I wouldn't fly to Santa Fe to fucking suck his dick. I don't know. Like, it's so wild to me.
Well, you're also not 24.
That's true.
But even if you were 24, I'm sure you wouldn't do it.
She was 21 in this.
Oh, even worse.
But she was also already married, divorced, and had kids. So it's like,
It's so weird because if he was just some guy from my hometown and he was exactly the way he was, I don't even know if I would have paid attention to him,
Yeah.
And I think that's the danger of YouTube, is that
It really is.
because this person had so many followers, I was willing to do whatever. I mean, I was also very young, and I had just gone through a divorce with my best friend that I was married to. I mean, I don't know, I feel like maybe it was like the fact that I had never been an adult that was single,
Right.
And so I was just like, maybe this is what, adults do. I don't know. Like, maybe they just go to fucking Santa Fe on a whim to meet a guy from the internet.
Wait a minute. Paul has said that exactly as well. He said that he's never known what it's like to be an adult who's single because he's been in a relationship every single time except immediately in another one. And these people just don't know what it's like to be single. They're just, like, consistently hopping from, like, dick to dick, pussy to pussy, like, every time that they're, like, single for more than 5 minutes.
Okay,
they don't know what it's like to, like...
There is something about, you're onto something. I for real believe that. Like, I do think that everyone should have a period of their adult life where they're single and independent, because you learn so much about yourself and so much about the person that you want to become, right?
Exactly.
Like, yeah, that there's such a huge amount of independence and of self-actualization, and, like, realizing you think about your life and what your place in the world is in such a different way than when you're with someone, and it's sort of like living on your own. Like when you live alone, you learn new things about yourself. Like you become an independent person in such a more, in a more functional way. There's a lot of talk about male loneliness and shit, but I don't think being alone is the worst thing in the world. Like people should be able to confront that and be able to be okay being alone and to be confident and strong in themselves and in their autonomy.
If you spend like 20 years of your life consistently hopping around relationships, like you lose one, you gain another one. It's just, like you said, you don't learn about yourself. You just know that you can't like survive on your own.
Yeah, it's wild to me. It's like you should have a period of like of being on your own after that.
This podcast and stuff.
I know some adults that do things like that, but not everybody. So while you were in contact with him online, did he ever ask you to do anything that made you uncomfortable?
Yes. Yeah.
Just get right into it.
Yeah, I skipped over so much.
Oh, that's right. This is like an hour into it.
This is the Alchemist Soil edit. It's the Jeffersonian Bible where I just took out all the bullshit. So
yes.
I had never really sent anyone like risque photos or whatever,
Right.
but I felt very much pressured to do so, and I did. I'm not like somebody that's very comfortable with my.
So here she's claiming that Ben pressured her to send lewds when she was uncomfortable. But she's going to explain this further.
Own body, or
I can understand that.
I generally dress pretty conservatively. Been something I've ever been comfortable with, but I definitely felt pressured to do so.
I mean, again, like he was a famous person to you, and he was like, yeah, do this. And
Yeah, he sent me his personal Snapchat.
So is that like how often would he pressure you for those things?
It was very pressured at first, but then I was more willing to do so.
Right. I mean, once
I
the
guess
Band-Aid's
as
ripped
like we
off.
talked more. Yeah. The other thing that made me feel uncomfortable was just how often he wanted to talk late at night and stuff, but never on the weekends.
So basically, so far, what Ben did to make her uncomfortable is pressured her to send lewds she didn't want to send and talk to her late at night, but not on the weekends, because he was probably cheating with someone, using her to cheat, right? Explains the weekends thing. The late night thing, it's like he's in Seattle, right? So he's on Western time. You're in Louisiana, which is that's what, 2 hours ahead. So, and he does DP every night. So it's like at 1 a.m. Seattle time is when, 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. Louisiana time or whatever.
And at this point I hadn't gone to meet him yet, but it felt very strange to me already.
So by the way,
So they started talking on like by mid-January. They were already planning to meet up in Santa Fe, right? That's what we saw when we looked at the DMs at the beginning of this, January 17th. So when did they, I wish I could go back and see this, but when did they announce the meetup? Because at some point between them announcing the meetup and January 17th is when all of this happened that she's talking about now.
It must have been some time.
It
the
couldn't
first
have
meetup,
been,
right?
No, it was one of the last meetups.
No?
It was 2017.
I don't know.
Their first meetup
right.
was in London, actually, but
In London.
yeah. So it had to be within a couple weeks time span. I don't think they announced the meetup like months and months in advance, right? They usually didn't do that. It's at the most like 2 months in advance or 3 months in advance.
Is this the meetup that Egghead crowdfunded his gas money to go over there?
No, that was the Louisiana meetup when they hung out with Cult of Dusty.
person in the chat
Sure.
was wondering, what do you mean by pressured? So did he just ask? I'm assuming he would ask and you would say no. Like, what would he like specifically say to like convince you at
So what-
first?
Oh, what do I mean by pressured? I guess it's kind of hard to explain, but it's just like a feeling.
So what? Yeah. So the chatter asked them, "What do you mean he pressured you? Give us an example of what that means." This is her answer to that.
It's kind of like what we were talking about before, just like how somebody is famous. In my mind, that's how I felt he was. And they're saying that, oh, I'd like to see you like this, or whatever. And it's like, oh, well, I should do it. I don't feel comfortable doing it, but I should just do it. Now, obviously, as
So what she said is that Ben is famous and he asked me to send him pictures and I did. That's how she interprets him pressuring her to do something she didn't want to do. But like Jaime asked her, so you said no and then what? And what we heard from that is that she didn't say no, that she just consented to whatever he asked, right?
Right. And
if someone is asked, so if you're talking to someone who's asking you for nudes and you're uncomfortable sending them nudes, but you're still doing it, why are you scheduling to meet them in a city in another state for one night if you're not into it? And it's just some like I don't know, like that celebrity mind control is fucking crazy to me.
or like, oh, you really need to do this.
Right.
It's more like the expectation, like you should.
Right, like it's very hard to say no.
Like, it would please me if you did this.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Right.
That's the kind of pressure. I don't know. I hope that makes sense.
No, it does. I mean, that's the thing. And as the chat there says, a couple people seem to know, yes, Ben is super passive-aggressive. And especially,
Fine, don't send me pictures of your tits then. I don't care. Like, what does that mean?
especially when someone is, seems to be really, again, they're a celebrity to you. They're a YouTube star. And you're like, whoa, this person wants to see me naked. This person and it's like, I mean, I can
What does that have to do with him being passive-aggressive? They're like, Ben can be passive-aggressive, for example, when you're a celebrity.
understand that. It's like, I don't know how much I want to do this, but this person is asking,
Right.
am I going to throw away this opportunity? You're young, you don't it's hard to stand up for yourself or even know that you should.
See, this is where Jaime betrays herself by by putting her personality on Taylor, right? She says, "You're young, you don't know should I throw away this opportunity?" That indicates that Jaime is looking at these people like they're an opportunity for her. She's an opportunist. I don't think most fans look at celebrities like that. That's something somebody who wants to be a YouTuber would do. So it's part of one of Jamie's deeper personality flaws that they use people because they're such a sycophant, right? That sycophancy comes that's born out of how can I use this person? Jaime is telling on herself there by saying if she were in Taylor's place, her thought pattern would be, should I throw away this opportunity to send this famous YouTuber my tits? That's kind of telling, in my opinion.
I had no idea what I was doing. I had no idea. The first time I got married, I had no idea what I was doing. Having my first kid, I had no idea what I was doing.
I mean, most young people in general.
You're just not accountable for anything.
That also that I don't whatever.
Personally, I'm in favor of raising the age of consent to 21.
What a psycho. Then, okay, yeah, I don't know. The age of consent is probably fine where it is. This infantilization, trying to raise the age of shit because people aren't responsible enough to make choices for themselves, is not the answer to things.
Honestly. I feel like a lot of young people get into a lot of really fucked up situations, get taken advantage of by older people, and that's another thing. I mean,
Yeah, but 18 to 21 wouldn't fix that, right?
Ben
No.
was quite a bit older than you, which
Unless-
made it a little
You had time to yourself and were an adult.
Yeah. You have to have your Nietzschean arc before you can be in a relationship.
True.
bit harder.
How many
So-
philosophical treatises have you read before you enter a relationship?
Yeah. You have to spend your teens reading Anne Frank and every philosopher before you can.
And Stephen King.
That was before. That was when he was 6.
Oh.
By the
well,
time he was 9, he'd read everything Stephen King had written up to that point.
Yeah, he was.
What was the age difference?
I was 21, and he was, God, I don't know, maybe 38 or something? I don't know.
I think he was 35 is the math I worked out.
I have no idea. I know he was in his late 30s, very late 30s.
Yeah, that's, again, well, not
Definitely, I had never had a guy that old.
right.
To be honest, I was like, there was something about it that was cool to me. Wow, this older person's really interested in
Right.
me, I must be immature.
That's one of the big reasons why I have a problem with
must be. She's mature for her age.
Okay, so here's the math I worked out. This stream was released on Ben's 40th birthday. This stream was released as a fuck you to Ben on his birthday. Which I would like everyone to note, I didn't do on either Paul or TJ's birthdays. I didn't send them evil gifts or whatever, even though I did have videos that I could have released that would have been very damning. So Ben turned 40 in May of 2021, which means he was 39 in February of 2021, which means that in February of 2017, 39 minus 4 is 35. That's the math I worked out.
relationships with such big age differences.
Which is kind of gross to okay, again, I'm not judging people who are in age gap relationships. Adults have every right to be in relationships with adults regardless of how old they are, or totally.
It's
I
weird that
believe
they
in
all are into it though.
I have theories about that, but
But I will not pass judgment.
yeah, but I believe everyone has a right to be in a relationship with everyone.
Okay, so we can move on to the next question then.
Right.
Let's see. When did you first meet up with him in person?
So, like I said, there was supposed to be that Albuquerque meetup or whatever, and he said that they were going to be in Santa Fe for like 4 days or something like that, and that I should come and see him. I had just, now mind you, I was very, very, very broke. I had 2 kids. One of them was a little baby. One was a year old. And I got my tax return back, and I was like, okay, I've never been somewhere like this. I'm just gonna do it.
Right.
And I told my family. Of course, they watched my kids. And at the time, I didn't tell Ben that I had kids. I was not going to get them involved. I don't get my kids involved in anything on the internet. And I didn't
Fair
really
enough.
know him, so I was like, I'm not Yeah, I'm not going to whatever. But anyway.
I'm just reading like the comments that people are making. It's a natural human instinct for women to like older men and men to like younger women.
Well,
old men have more resources and younger women are more fertile. I took an anthropology class.
this biological fucking essentialism.
Yeah, kind of.
Wow.
Does Scotty know about this?
About
These
the
are the type of
class?
people. These are the type of people. This is total incel brain. Am I wrong about that? Like thinking about this is you're either doing this. This is probably Paul. Maybe you're doing this because you're in an age gap relationship and you feel the need to justify it, or you're one of those people who like has like this primitive view of like why people are in relationships.
That is incel behavior, and I do believe Paul shows up in the chat under his name.
I think that was a different stream.
So he suggested that I fly out to Santa Fe and stay at the same hotel as him, which was the La Fonda on the Plaza. And so I booked a hotel, I booked the flight. I was like, I was so nervous. He was really nice. He was really nice to me then, honestly. So I was kind of excited to go. I didn't feel worried about my safety or anything like that. He was really polite. And so I was like, okay, I'll just go to it. And I will tell you, my family was not happy about it at all. I had to recently move in with them. After I got divorced because I was working for the state, but I was only making like $8.
Yeah, they probably weren't happy that you like dumped your newborn baby on them to go get dick in Santa Fe, like when you didn't have any money and had to like move in with them, right?
I need to see my brother in Santa Fe. Oh, do you right now?
No,
Oh.
no. He has nothing to
I'm
do
the
with
stand-in for
this.
the audience. I'm like the doctor's companion.
$100 a month or something. I couldn't afford rent or anything. And I told them I was going to do this, and they said that it didn't seem like a good idea. They said,
Anyways, they're probably pissed that you're going on vacation and leaving your kids with them when you don't have any money and you're living off of them as a 21-year-old single mom. Now, that's not the time to take a vacation. That's the time to, get your life together.
way too old. My dad was, for really the first time, seemed concerned about my safety, to the point where they were asking what his first and last name is, like, what's his phone number, what are his parents' names, like, where does he live, where are you staying, what's their phone number, we want all this information. So I drove 3 hours to the Dallas airport and flew out from there to Santa Fe, took an Uber to the hotel. I was scared shitless. I was just like, oh my God, like I've never done this before. Checked in, and what's weird is that he never, ever texted me, like, on my phone, ever. He did have my phone number, but he never texted me on my phone, and that was one of the few times that he did.
Now that checks out with the DMs we have also, right? Remember that most of the DMs are on Messenger, but the DM of them texting like while they're traveling. So what she's saying here validates the DMs that we have, because that specific app that they were using, remember the white and orange? I'm going to put it up here again for you all to see. That
Google
specific app, the texting app or whatever it is, was being used during the time they were traveling from the 1st to the 3rd.
But and all of that, the only thing was that the only thing I was not excited for was actually meeting him in person. I was just so nervous about it. I mean, like, I was in my hotel room and I was like sweating, like, I'm just like, oh my God, like, I don't know if I should do this. I was the whole time I was just thinking, I need to go back home. Like, this is just something. It wasn't like the town or whatever that made me feel weird. The town was actually very beautiful and all the people were really welcoming.
No, but it sounds like the Ben aspect of the trip was kind of like an obligation.
No, the Ben aspect of the trip was the whole reason she went to Santa Fe, right? For one night. And all this shit she's talking about, like, I was thinking about going to see the Georgia O'Keeffe exhibit. I wanted to do all these fun tourist things. In one day, you're going to fly out there to his hotel in one day and then do all these things and fly back the next day? Does that make sense?
No,
I mean, she's talking about like days of itinerary. There's a reason she didn't go to Santa Fe before talking to him, right? There's a reason she went to Santa Fe on February 1st, 2017, when they were there the day after their meetup. There's a reason she didn't go to the Albuquerque meetup and instead chose to meet Ben for one night in his hotel the next day. There's a reason she left her newborn baby with her parents to cross state lines to spend one night in Ben's hotel with him. That shows intentionality, right? Like, doesn't that show that you intended to go and meet him and fuck him and fly back home?
But I did end up going to the hotel room and meeting him, and it was awkward. It was very awkward.
Right.
I must have sat in my hotel room because I told him I was there, and I was like, oh, just give me a minute. But I must have sat in my hotel room for like an hour before I actually ended up getting the nerve to leave.
Honestly, I think it sounds like a very weird way to meet a person like that anyway. Like, I feel there would be less tension if, like, maybe he suggested meeting in public.
Right. It's almost like you specifically met him at a hotel to have an encounter with him, right? Like, there's a reason you didn't go to the public meetup and you went to meet a guy in his hotel room. That specifically happened for a reason.
or something, like not like come to my hotel room.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of really that gets the like I don't know about you, but
Right, exactly. That's weird to do unless you had a very specific reason for doing it.
I would feel like if I was in that exact situation, I would feel almost like, am I his escort? Am I supposed to come to his room, fuck him, and leave? Like,
Right. Yeah.
So okay. So what was he like once you met him? Like, what was it like being with him? What was the first few interactions with him like? Sorry.
Yeah, in person. Well, I mean, when I first met him, I noticed immediately that he was shorter than he said, which is a problem. I don't really care about that, but I guess that's the first red flag that he's a liar.
It's a weird lie. Like, people are gonna find out.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty tall for a woman. I'm 5'9", and he was considerably shorter than me. I don't know. That was the first thing I noticed.
Considerably.
So Ben's like a little Dio-sized man, is what I'm getting
It's
from.
like 5'2".
Maybe.
I'm not saying that to disparage anybody. I don't think short people. I'm perfectly attracted to shorter people. That wasn't it. It was just that like I didn't know why he lied.
That is a weird lie.
But I guess like the first interactions was, I mean, when he wasn't looking at his phone, and I guess I'll get into that. But he was genuinely like sweet, and I always felt like we had something to talk about. But unfortunately, the DP Facebook group drama thing happened. So I guess like maybe a day or so into my trip, the Facebook group like broke down into chaos.
So that would have had to have been her second day, right?
Because there was a picture of Ben that got put online with him with his shirt off, I think, and the mods in the Facebook group, like they just started disintegrating, and Ben was just like left like cleaning up their mess, I guess.
I'll ask you then. On that first trip, did you sleep with him? And if so, what was that like?
This is important. So Jaime just asked her, on that trip in Santa Fe, did you fuck Ben?
I did, yeah, and I was sexual towards him, obviously. He had made it seem like this was going to be some sort of relationship. And so there were moments or whatever that happened.
Okay, so what we just heard there is that Taylor admitted that she was sexual towards Ben because it seemed like he wanted a relationship with her, okay? Multiple times. There were moments that it happened. They were together for 2 days. So she's saying that there were multiple times she was sexual towards him. Just think about like what... So she's flying to Santa Fe specifically to stay in his hotel room for one night. That gets extended to 2 days, right? She says that she was sexual towards him multiple times. But what we're going to find out in a second is that the rape, the night that happened, the only time that it could happen with the timeline we've established is on the first night. On February 1st. Because on February 2nd is when Ben and Taylor go with Scotty to the bar, which we'll find out about in a minute here. But that's the only night that could have happened. So within that day, she had already been sexual to him, is what she's saying. So on this first day, they had consensual relations, but also that night she was raped, according to the story.
That
I'm
is
following
very
you.
cool. I guess I'll have to get into some of the trip before I get to it, but I kind of just like to, I guess, just go in order of everything.
Okay, no, fair enough. Go in whichever order you like.
Okay.
I know some of these questions are in a weird order, but...
Yeah, it's okay.
I guess I should have asked you first. Will he push you to drink or take drugs? Because I know you mentioned that. Do you want to? Would it be helpful to start with that?
Sure. Yeah. So
We'll get back to it in a second with the exact timing of everything. They're going to talk about how Ben allegedly pressured her to smoke weed and to drink. There's also going to be inconsistencies, though, with her talking about drinking that we're going to point out. But so far, just think about the timeline, guys, from what we know from looking at the itinerary of the flight and matching that up with the DMs that they were sending saying that when they left on the 1st and when they got home the night of the 3rd, and then all the different things that she's saying happened within those 2 days with the 1st, the 2nd, and then the morning of the 3rd.
I said, I was in the Army. I obviously could not smoke weed. I am not a heavy drinker. In fact, I don't drink alcohol at all. In the past 4 years, I may have had in total, like at my house, a total of 3 beers, and 3 beers being like taking a sip from each one of them. I don't even like the taste of alcohol. Right. The only times I have, I'm not a huge fan at all. I've never really have been. I haven't smoked weed in months. It doesn't work for me. It makes me too anxious. I'm a nicotine person through and through. I'll say that. And coffee.
Based.
Yeah. Okay, good job. You and her are kindred spirits, maybe.
But I definitely felt pressured to drink. I definitely felt pressured to smoke weed. I mean, the very first day that I got there was this pizza place.
So when she says she felt pressured, does that mean that he offered it to her, she said no, and then he continued to pressure her to do it? Or does that mean that he offered it to her, she didn't want to, but she told him yes anyways because of the immense power that he had over her because he's a famous podcaster?
Or everyone was smoking weed and she didn't want to feel left out because they're all big YouTubers and she's a nobody.
Okay. Or that.
Peer pressure.
Walk a little bit down from La Fonda to, God, what was that place called? It was like some kind of rooftop pizzeria place. And that's where we went first, like for lunch and everything. And I know he had told me that he was like a big fan of beers and everything. He was showing me the whole beer list. I'm just like, oh my God, I don't even want this.
So here's what I gather from what I can establish from her story is that she gets there on the first, they meet in the hotel room, right? Do whatever, and then go get pizza for lunch.
He's like, oh, you have to try this. Oh, I know that they make these in Albuquerque and blah, blah, blah. Like, you really need to try this. I'm like, okay. And it was just kind of always like that. Oh, well, you tried that one. You need to try this one.
Right.
And I told him, I'm like, I'm not really, I'm not really into that now.
Now, I want to just remind everyone that months after this, Taylor in the DMs to Ben, remember the LSD thing? Fucking you when I was high was incredible, and I bet it would be incredible on LSD, right? So she, in the DMs, is saying she remembers being high. She consented to being high. She enjoyed being high. It's, this is someone who relished smoking weed and who talked about it afterwards.
A part of me wanted to like just be agreeable and be like, oh yeah, this is great. But I told him I'm not really a beer person. I'm not really an alcohol person either.
Right.
During the trip, he also, he told me in his hotel room at some point, he was like, oh, it's so crazy. We're so famous that the doorman at the hotel gave me a giant bag of weed. We should smoke some. I'm like, wow, that's crazy.
The life.
Man.
I
don't know if I would smoke weed a doorman handed me. I'm too paranoid for that. What if there's fentanyl in this?
I really can't, though.
I mean, it was 2017.
Trump's America.
Yeah.
So that's a problem.
Okay, the next question is, so did he ever force himself on you, or?
It's kind of hard to say because it's weird because like this is the most disturbing memory I have of him, and it's the one that has been around with me for years, and it just doesn't ever really seem to go away.
So we're getting to the actual accusation now. So we've looked at all the circumstantial evidence. We have a pretty good idea of everything that happened leading up to this. And now she's going to actually give us the description of what happened the night that she allegedly was date raped.
But I guess it was like the second or third evening, Ben took me to this place.
We know that's not true, right? There was no third evening. So it could have only have been on the first or the second evening, the evening of the first or the second. And we know because the second night she's there, the night after the rape, she goes to the bar with Scotty. So we know that this happened on the first night. So she's saying that this happened on a night that it didn't happen on.
It's called the Coyote Cafe. Mind you, this entire trip, he kept talking about how much money he had, what a nice car he had. Every time we went, there was this jewelry store that was really close to La Fonda, and he was like, I could buy you that. Do you want me to buy you that? And I'm like, no. It was so weird because it was just like, the way he talked about himself is, I mean, if he knew me at all, he would know that that kind of stuff is not, I don't wear jewelry.
Right.
I'm not a fancy person. I'm a fucking redneck from northern Louisiana, that's not me. And again, he did it by taking me to this place, the Coyote Cafe. Crazy upscale place. I felt super uncomfortable there. I felt really out of place. And we went in there and he was talking about how much money again he had, and like this will be a regular thing with him, as if it was like to impress me.
It just sounds like somebody who is on like day 1 or 2 of like a new relationship after having a marathon of sex in their hotel room and like giving all the perks of you dating me. Oh yeah, hey, we can do this all the time. It'll be great.
Yeah, it kind of does sound like that, doesn't it?
High on the mushroom tea from Hannibal.
Which wasn't even mushroom tea, apparently.
But he asked me to look over the wine list, and the wine list was so extensive. I mean, they had a book. And like I said, I told him that I'm not like a heavy drinker or whatever, but I would take one. And I will occasionally, like me and Scotty will occasionally get like a bottle of wine or something, and we'll drink like a glass, but that's about all I can do.
Right.
But that one turned into several really quickly. I remember, and it's really interesting now thinking back on it, but I remember going to the bathroom and thinking to myself on the way to there, like, I don't know, what if something happens if I drink or something? Which is a weird thought for me to have, because, I mean...
Okay, so she just said that one turned into several, right? You heard that?
Yeah.
Okay. So one glass of wine turned into several glasses of wine is what she said at the start of this. She's had several glasses, several drinks.
But I remember thinking that. And that was one of the last really things that I remembered. The very last moment that I remember was Plaza area of Santa Fe has like these trees that are all lit up. Like they have like a wrapped lights around them and stuff, or at least they did at this time.
Right.
And I remember like him basically having to drag me through the center plaza of Santa Fe, like holding on to me to keep me steady and stuff. And I was saying out loud, like, oh, these trees are so pretty. I want to climb them. I want to like jump off of them. Like they're so tall and beautiful. And I can remember him laughing.
Okay. So the story of the evening is they go to the Coyote Cafe. She has several glasses of wine. She gets really drunk on the way home. She thinks maybe I was roofied. She doesn't know. And then she starts like laughing about the trees that are in the plaza. And that's the last thing she really remembers before she blacks out.
I woke up inside of his hotel room and not mine. I felt really sick. I was wearing all of my clothes, which was weird. He was asleep with like his shirt off and stuff. I remember my boots were still on, which was weird. There was a trash can next to the bed, and it had used like sex items in them, like a condom, and
It's all right.
yeah,
Take your time.
it's
Do you think that you blacked out because of something he gave you, or were you just blackout drunk?
Okay, so we'll listen to this part in a second, but remember, this has to be just by process of elimination from the time that she was there. Unless we're wrong about the day she was there, but it doesn't seem like it because the itinerary matches the DMs, right? So unless that message that said she was home on the 3rd by the night of February 3rd, unless that's incorrect and that's wrong, unless that message is fake or whatever, then the only night that this could have happened was the first night she was there on February 1st.
I don't really know.
Was this the night that you smoked weed as well?
I think I think we had smoked weed like multiple times. It's really hard to remember if I smoked weed or not, but that wouldn't have affected me like that. I would have been super anxious. I just I know that like Santa Fe is really high up, and so at the time, well, when I came to, I just felt fucking gross and used, and I was like, I felt bad about myself. Like, oh my god, like I slept with this dude, and I was so drunk, and I don't know. I was like, for that moment, I felt like I had done this to myself. Like, oh, I fucked up, and he's gonna think so bad of me because I was so drunk. My first thought wasn't this man used me while I was drunk. My first thought was he's going to think I'm so bad because I was drunk. You know what I mean?
Right.
And I mean, like, I'm sure, like, most people who have had a night out where they got really drunk, like, wake up hungover, but also have that feeling of like, oh, I'm gross. I feel ashamed of myself for being so drunk, right? Like, you feel gross. Like, you feel like you did something wrong when you wake up.
I remember I walked back to my hotel room. I got out of there. He was sleeping. So I went to my hotel room, took a really long shower, and I just felt kind of like numb. I didn't really feel like anything. And I've had it explained to me that I could have possibly been roofied.
Right.
I don't really know.
It sounds similar to a roofing situation, especially with you being like clearly high out of your mind and then not remembering anything else past like, oh, look at the pretty tree.
Right, but she didn't say she was clearly high out of her mind, right? That's something that you, like, inserted into there.
Like, that sounds very familiar to like a lot of like roofie cases that I've heard. But
Does it? Hold
Or
on.
LSD.
There's a lot of roofie cases that she's heard where people are like, ooh, look at the trees.
you could also have just been blackout high and drunk.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell one
But you could have also just been crossfaded
way or another.
It really
or just really drunk on wine. Right? Like, also that. Like, also you had like several glasses of wine in really high altitude that you weren't acclimated to.
was hard to tell.
Um,
And
Like, wine will fuck you up worse than like weed will, right? Like, you're never gonna like black out on weed. Like, wine is a beast for sure.
I didn't really think.
Anyone who listening to this, who's had experience with like drinking wine and being wine drunk or wine hungover, knows like there's a difference between that and then just like being like drunk normally, right?
Oh, I do.
Well,
And for someone to think that it was okay to do that to a drunk person who is so out of their mind that they're talking about trees being pretty and, oh, I want to jump off of them and I'll do so fucked up, and you're having to drag me to the hotel. It's not okay.
it's not. It's really.
And I had to
not.
realize later on that I was raped. And it was such a hard thing because like I was like, well, I had done other things with him, like maybe it really wasn't me, because after that, like I still kissed him after that. We still did stuff, but it doesn't. Now I realize that it doesn't really matter.
Right.
What happened?
Okay, so let's comment on that. Like, it doesn't really matter if, like, it's possible that she got to Santa Fe, they fucked, they went to get pizza, they went to the Coyote Cafe, she got so drunk that she passed out and he raped her, and then the next day they just continued on with their relationship. She didn't remember the rape, she decided, like, whatever. But in this story that she's telling now, she woke up feeling all this way, feeling terrible, and then she postpones her flight an extra day. That's kind of like the story that she has here. It's also possible that they just got drunk and hooked up. It's possible that they got drunk and didn't fuck, and the condom was from when they fucked before they went to the Coyote Cafe, right? That's also another possibility. There are different, like, there are all kinds of things that could have happened here. It could have just been two drunk people hooking up. Like, it's weird that you would roofie someone you had already been fucking that day, right? Like, it's weird that someone would fly out to you, you would have sexual encounters with them, sexual moments that they were sexual towards you all day, and then roofie them. I don't know.
before or after doesn't change the fact that happened, so, but that's the only time I can think of that anything was forced onto me.
But she doesn't know if anything was forced onto her. If she was blackout drunk and she just woke up feeling hungover or whatever, like, and she saw the condom, but like they'd already fucked, right?
Yeah, that's usually how time works.
Right. So, but I'm saying, like, how does she know that he raped her that night? How does she know that she didn't consent to that night? Like, there's so much, the way that Ben tells it here in a minute is that they slept together consensually, right?
There's only so many hours in 48 hours.
Right. Yeah. Also that, but also like, it just like, I don't see what what is her reason for thinking that she was raped, right? During what she's just said here.
Finding a condom in the trash.
Uh-huh.
And not remembering the night before. That's literally all the evidence we have. She would come to think she was raped.
Right. Because when someone's blackout drunk, that doesn't mean they pass out, right? That's not what blackout drunk means. Blackout drunk means that you were just so drunk you don't remember what you did the night before.
Or you have like gaps in your memory.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's possible that someone was like two people were just drunk and fucked. Like that happens sometimes, that they both consented prior to and during everything when they were still of sound mind. And as the evening progressed, they didn't withdraw consent and they still consented and it was still an ongoing thing. And then like, that's totally possible. And that sounds based on all the other evidence we have about, even the traveling there, like that sounds like what the intention was the entire time. Like you would fly to another state to meet a guy for one night, have sexual moments towards him throughout the day, go out to a big expensive dinner where you're drinking wine and then not fuck him.
Right after I got out of my hotel room, I went like back because I spent a good while in my hotel room. I don't remember. I mean, it's been years. I don't remember what time I went back, but I know I did go back, obviously. And I just told him that I felt really bad and I didn't know if anything happened or whatever. And I was just very confused. I guess I started to rationalize to myself, like, oh, everything's fine. Like, oh, it's all good. You just need to go talk to him, go sort itself out, whatever. And again, at the time, I didn't think that I'd been assaulted. Like, I felt like I'd done something wrong. So.
Right. She didn't think she had been assaulted. So months later, she comes to that conclusion.
But I remember talking to him, and there was like this book in the it was like a pamphlet, whatever you call it. There was like a pamphlet in the hotel room that was talking about altitude sickness, and he showed me that. And he was like, "Oh, with altitude sickness, one drink is like 2, and 3 drinks is like 6." Later on, like the years later, I had to realize like even if 2 means 4, I've drank way more than that. Like Scotty and I got the one time that I've really gotten really fucked up was at the DP meetup in Seattle, and I can tell you I had way more than that with Scotty.
Right, but before that, so she said maybe I had 2 glasses at dinner, right? But before that, she said she had one turned into several. So did she have several glasses or did she have 2 glasses?
How many is several?
Usually more than 2, right?
Colloquially, yeah. I'm led to believe that she did have several, and it wasn't just 2. 2 became several.
And first of all, someone who's a lightweight who doesn't drink and who's in 10,000 feet, elevation, could get fucked up on 2 glasses of wine.
Especially if they were recently 21.
Right. But also it's a distinction because if she had several glasses, then it makes it less likely that she was roofied and that her effects were just from getting really drunk. Whereas if they try to say, well, I only had a glass or 2, that downplays how drunk she was on wine, and that makes it seem more likely that she was roofied. So the story starts with, I had 1 glass that turned into several glasses. Then Jaime says, do you think it's possible that you were roofied? And then the story changes to, I maybe had 2 glasses. Pay attention to that, everyone. Like that's sort of what we mean when we say there's a possibility of gaslighting in this.
And how many drinks did you have that night? You said it was just wine, right?
Yeah, it was wine. It was either 2 or 3 glasses of.
Yeah, wine would not make you black out, even with like weed. Like,
fuck you! You don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah, this is just Jaime talking about nothing.
What is this like? Celeros of Black, where it's like 5%, or is this like your average bottle of wine, which is like 7 to 12%?
She doesn't know. She has no fucking idea.
Never had wine in her life. Jesus fucking Christ!
Be the biggest lightweight in the fucking world.
But did she have several, or did she have 2 or 3?
Like I don't. That doesn't make a lot of sense. Did he ever address or allude to or anything about whether or not you had a sexual encounter with him that night? Or did he deny it?
No, I don't think he denied it. He acted like it was consensual.
Right. Okay.
And so I just assumed that it was. I was like, wow, I did some crazy stuff when I was drunk.
Right.
But I mean, clearly he was not so drunk that, because like I said, he was going to carry me basically through the plaza. So he couldn't have been that drunk. But he just kind of made it seem like we were.
He carried her through the plaza, is what she's saying, but she doesn't remember though, because she doesn't remember anything past the trees.
After that first visit, how were your feelings about the whole thing?
Actually, I'd like to talk about a little bit more about what happened at Santa Fe. Yeah, there's just like a couple of things that I think are kind of important. It was like a couple of days before I got there, but I had watched a stream with Chelsea.
Right.
I never met her, but she was doing some kind of, I think Periscope was big at the time.
So remember the context that Marshall gave us in his video, that Ben and Chelsea had hooked up at one point, and that there was, just remember that before we go into this here.
I was thinking I was going to meet her because he had said before, like, oh, we're going to meet everybody. And I'm like, oh, that's cool. Like, awesome. And so I was watching her. I was, trying to get a little feel of how she is. And someone had mentioned something about Ben to her on her stream, and she had said something along the lines of, oh, something, he's with one of his many sex dolls or something. And she was rolling her eyes, and she was just really upset at the fact that like somebody had mentioned him. I had mentioned it to him. I'm like, what is she talking about with sex dolls? What does that mean? And he's not a super angry person, but that was one of the first times that I saw him get like angry about something. He was just talking about, oh, she's a bitch and blah, blah, blah. Like, she hates me. Like, they're just angry and they hate me for no reason. They're jealous. Chelsea has a huge crush on him and blah, blah, blah. I would see TJ and Paul and Scotty like out and about occasionally, but I would get steered away from them. Like, Ben would like say like, oh, we need to go over here and do this thing. I'm like, oh, okay. Like,
okay, so basically with this, I don't know how much of this we're going to keep in here because it doesn't really have to do with the accusation itself, but she's claiming that Ben, when they were in Santa Fe, tried to intentionally keep her away from the rest of the peasants and their girlfriends at the time.
Scotty was like instantly talking to me and stuff, and we ended up going to this bar, and I don't know, it was almost like I was on a date that night with Scotty. Not like I was like there to see Ben. It was very strange, really cool. I don't know. Ben was like at the edge of the table like by himself, and me and Scotty ended up sitting beside each other, and we were just making fun of these people. They were so drunk. I wasn't drinking anything, but they were so drunk, and me and Scotty were just like making fun of them, and we ended up talking for like 2 hours at this bar the whole time. Ben looked at his phone, which was funny, but
Right.
And that makes sense with what she said earlier about how the second day she was there, the DP Facebook shit happened or whatever, and Ben just spent the whole time on his phone, right?
So control.
But what I'm saying is that would make sense with what she said at the beginning, where it was her second day there that happened. When she says after the first day into my trip, that's when the Facebook shit happened. This makes sense if this being the second day, because now Ben is on his phone. He's not taking her out on dates or whatever. He's being like an emo on his phone or whatever. He's being like he's being a salty bitch on Facebook or whatever she's trying to say.
we ended up going back to the hotel, and we all hung out together in Ben's room. Ben, I mean, he talked occasionally, but he mostly sat on his bed and was like looking at Facebook or whatever. And that was the one time where I didn't really feel pressured to smoke weed. I don't know why, but I ended up doing it, and just chilling with Scotty, really. So that was another thing that happened. What else happened? I was supposed to stay there for 3 days, but I ended up staying for 4.
So that's not true, right? Because we know that she was on the plane on February 1st, and she was home by the night of February 3rd. She was there for 2 days.
I was having a good time. He had thoroughly convinced me that night after the Coyote Cafe was that was just perfectly fine, and I was very convinced that it was. He ended up paying. No, I did.
So she was very convinced that she wasn't raped that night, that it was consensual. So the day after it happened, in her mind, she had thought she consented to it. So not only that, but in the messages, she talked about consenting to it, basically. The messages imply that she was an enthusiastic participant and remembered sleeping with him, okay? And then way down the line later, she decides that she didn't consent.
Paid for my flight, but he ended up paying to switch my flight to the next day.
Right, and that makes sense too. If we know, if the flight itinerary of her coming out on the 1st and leaving on the 2nd, if that's true, and her flight was extended 1 day to the 3rd, that would also match up. We can cross-reference with the other evidence we have. That would match up that text message of her being home on the night of the 3rd, because her flight was switched from the 2nd to the 3rd. But that also necessitates that she was only intending to fly out there for 1 night, went on that date to the Coyote Cafe, fucked, either got raped or had consensual sex with Ben that night, and then the next day decided to stay for 1 extra day. He paid to move her flight out for 1 extra day, and then on the 3rd they both left. She wasn't there for 4 days. She wasn't there for 3 days. She was there for like 50 hours.
I was going to say, so was there anything else on that trip that you wanted to mention, or was that pretty much it? And how were things with Ben after the trip, and how did things proceed?
After the trip, It was, let's see, they did that meetup on January like 30th or 30, yeah, like something like that. I went there from February 2nd to like February the 5th.
Right, but even in her story, though, the dates are wrong, right? By saying that she had planned to do all those things like the Georgia O'Keeffe Museum, whatever else, by extending the amount of time that she was there, it implies that she wasn't there just to meet Ben for one night, right? It implies that she intended to go there to do other things than just meet Ben, when what the reality of the situation suggests is that she flew out there specifically to meet Ben for one night. So by adding in these other details, that as we kind of like try to cross-reference it with the other evidence we have, by adding in these details, they're changing like the actual overall narrative and leaving room for them to say like, well, I intended other things. It's possible that I didn't intend to sleep with Ben that night. The details make it seem less certain of what her intent was than the reality of what happened. Now, again, it's possible that what I have is wrong. It's possible that the thing that would have to be incorrect is the text message between Taylor and Ben, and Taylor on the night of February 3rd saying she was home. She just got home. Good night, sweetheart. Okay? If that's incorrect, if that's not accurate, if that's a fake DM, then that invalidates what I'm saying. But right now, based on all the evidence we have, it seems like that's correct. And that checks out, and there's harmony between that and the other pieces of evidence we have. So there it is. If we can get evidence that invalidates that text message, then that leaves more room to say that Taylor isn't lying. But if that text message is accurate, then what she's telling you is not true. It doesn't line up with the reality.
It was pretty normal at first. And then I guess in like March or something. Yeah, it was March. It was the beginning of March. I got a message from Scotty on Facebook because I added him. So I was like, oh, I met him. I'll add him on Facebook.
Right.
And he messaged me and he was like, oh, I remember you from whatever. Or he said something like, I think I remember you. Which he told me later on. He was like, I definitely remembered you.
Right.
And then it was continuous, like acting like
And then the same thing happened with Scotty. He messaged her on Facebook and they started talking.
the 3 days that he didn't say anything. Like that just didn't happen. He was very whiny.
She's back to talking about Ben now. I edited it. So here she's talking about after the meetup, her and Ben continued on their relationship, but then she started talking to Scotty also.
He was very much obsessed with the fact that he thought everyone was out to get him, and it almost felt like I was his therapist. Like our quote relationship felt like he was almost like he was stringing me along to have someone to talk to and say all of his problems, like talk about the host of DP, like very disparaging stuff about them, talking about going to see his therapist. And
so I just want to point out, like, Taylor is cheating on Ben with Scotty, basically. If they are in a relationship, Ben is cheating on his spouse or whoever with Taylor, and Taylor is cheating on Ben with Scotty, basically.
She hadn't broken
what
it
we're
off with Ben.
Right. And now what she's saying is that Ben became whiny and she was trying to distance herself from him, but he kept on messaging her. That's what she's saying. But as far as we can tell from the DMs we have from like as late as May, they're still fucking, like, she's still saying she wants to be with him. She's in love with him. She wants to fuck him on acid.
Sending lewds.
Into May, this is still going on.
Photos of him crying and stuff about how he's such a bad person, but then the next moment he's talking about how everyone is bad and they're all out to get him and blah blah blah. And it was exhausting.
I bet.
Talking to him. It was exhausting, and Scotty felt like a breath of fresh air. Like getting a message from Ben was almost like, oh my god, what is it going to be this time? Like, what did I do wrong, or what did somebody else do wrong?
So did you feel like the relationship was basically like a lot more work than anything else?
Yes. Oh my god, yeah.
That's just okay. Whatever. We might be done with this pretty soon. I kind of want to watch the whole thing, just to make sure there's nothing else that I'm missing. There's not a lot that they say here that's relevant.
I told him that I wanted to go see him in Washington, and he was not interested in that at all.
Huh.
And
you'd think if you're in a relationship with someone, I'll offer to come out and see you, that wouldn't be the reaction.
yeah,
Especially someone who's been in longest in relationships and knows how much they suck.
yeah, it was really strange because in a lot of ways he acted like we were in a relationship.
So here she's saying she had asked Ben to fly her out to Washington and he wouldn't do it. So after she was raped, she gets back to Louisiana and spends the next 3 months asking Ben to meet up again.
I would mention, like, 'cause I didn't know what it was, but I didn't know what we were at all. But I would mention, like, that I went to, like, on state and stuff, and he was not cool with that at all. But then he would say, like, oh, I'm going to Tacoma, Washington, or I'm going to go to Canada and do all this stuff. And it seemed like there was a different set of rules for him versus me. I found out later that there was a woman in Tacoma that he was going to see. I also found out later that there were women in Canada, there were women in New York, there were women in Mexico. He always, I don't know, it was like he made me feel bad about myself, but in a way that, like, I was making him feel bad about himself. I guess in like April, he found out that I was talking to Scotty. I was at work and I was messaging Scotty on Facebook Messenger, and I had talked to Ben, but like that day, but I was just really done with hearing the bullshit about how life sucks so much for him. And
Now, we do know that Ben gets drunk and crashes out online. So
Frequently.
it's yeah. Hey, it's not out of par that Ben, once he found that sympathetic ear of this girl who, seems to have, he seems to have total control over her or whatever, like, he's going to use her to trauma dump, right?
Especially if she's encouraging it.
Yeah, and especially if he's cheating on everyone, he's emotionally using you. So it's perfectly possible that this is true, and that Ben is guilty of this specifically. It's a far cry from being a date rapist, though.
so I'm like, I'll just talk to him later. And I had Scotty's, how they do the messenger thing on there. I had his pulled up at the bottom, and me and him were just messaging.
But also, she was encouraging him. She was feeding into him. She was sending him messages about how much she loved him and misses him and wanted to see him, like, as that's going on, right? We have those two into May.
Pictures, and I sent him a photo of like my knife or something, and then Ben's name pops up, his messenger, and it said, I can see that you're talking to Scotty. I'm sitting right next to him on the train. And I was like, oh my God, what? Oh my God. It was just like, it was the strangest moment for me. Like, I felt like so scared for no reason. But it was just, like, he said that, and I messaged him back. I felt my heart sink. I was like, oh my God, I've done something wrong. And I messaged him. I'm like, nothing's going on. I'm just talking to him. I guess Scotty told me later that he could see at that moment on the train that Ben was really upset about it, and said something along the lines of, do you really have to talk to her?
Right. And in my experience, it's typical cheater behavior to totally disregard the person you're cheating on, but then when they start cheating on you, or when they're moving on, you all of a sudden become like super depressed about them, and like all of a sudden like your relationship means so much to you because they're leaving you. It just seems like typical manipulator behavior, and I don't know, I don't necessarily doubt this.
And he kind of said the same thing to me on the messenger, like, oh, do you really have to talk to Scotty? I'm like, well, we're just friends. Oh, really? You're just friends? What are y'all talking about? And I was like, I just sent him a photo of my knife. Like, we're not doing anything. He was pretty mad about that.
It sounds like he needed to be the only one getting attention from you, which is, again, quite ironic given the fact that he had several other women and he wasn't giving you his full attention.
Yeah, mind you, he was with this time. I had no idea.
Right.
I don't know how he has time to do it, but he does.
I don't know
That's
either.
probably why I had to schedule out Skypes with him.
And that makes sense. Like, someone who's cheating, who's like always trying to find new women to fuck, like, that seems like what's going on here. Like, he's just a serial cheater who like gets a high off of like sleeping with different women. That doesn't mean that he's a date rapist.
I didn't even know that at the time. Like, Paul was actually the one pulling most of the stuff. So,
yeah, I've learned that more and more. Whenever Ben says he's busy doing DP work, it turns out someone else is doing it a lot of the time. I found out later, apparently, like, he would tell other people, like, oh, I'm doing DP work, and it's like, no, Animancer was doing your work at that time. So
Animancer is Fancy Badger, I believe. Now, we're not gonna get into that situation in this video, probably ever, hopefully. But there's a whole rabbit hole of this dude Fancy Badger that Jaime Darkey was super tight with, who turned out to pretty much be the thing that she's accusing Ben of being, but with someone who was a minor. And she defended that. You'll recall her talking about how it's okay for adults to pretend to be littles to help pedophiles get off in the last video we watched about this.
That includes.
Yeah. Say it together, class. Maps. Like, in that video, it seems like Animancer is the person that she's talking about, that she was a little for. If we look at all her content together, every stream she's done as one whole picture, there is, it seems that Jaime was in love with Animancer / Fancy Badger / Anna Haven, and Anna Haven groomed and at least sent explicit things to a minor and got canceled for that several times. This is the person we're dealing with.
So Scotty and I were messaging each other back and forth, and he had said that he was going to New Orleans to go and visit family, and he asked me, we said that we would share an Airbnb to save money.
Right. Of course.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. I didn't see anything going with Ben anymore. Like, he was still constantly talking to me, but I'd asked him several times, like, hey, I'll come and visit you in Washington. Like, I want to see you. And he just always had some kind of excuse. One of the excuses was my house is really dirty and I'm very embarrassed of it. Oh, well.
You'd think if your house was dirty enough that you could admit out loud, I'm embarrassed of how dirty my house was, that, like, you might as well just show it to the person at that point.
Remember when Marshall said, like, Jaime trashed his apartment and showed us the pictures? Everything this person says is telling on themselves.
Every accusation is a
It's a confession.
It's a confession.
Yeah, dude. Paul much?
So I guess some days leading up to it. I know that we stopped talking on like May the 5th or something.
Oh, someone in the chat said it's May 8th, so it's actually a couple days from now. Interesting. Yeah, happy birthday, Ben. I don't know.
So
Oh, how convenient.
Yeah.
Just noticed.
The Lannisters send their regards. Like,
As if it wasn't planned. Oh yeah, look at that. Happy birthday, Ben. 3 hours into a conversation.
yeah, super serious. This isn't done for vindictive reasons at all.
Jump, motherfucker, jump.
Oh. But a couple days before I was supposed to go, turned into like 3 of the most hellish nights of my life. Ben had asked me for like the millionth time.
Okay, so now I skipped over a bunch of shit. What she's talking about now is that she decided to go meet up with Scotty in Louisiana, and Ben found out about it, and he's pissed. So there's a pattern of behavior
if, like,
here.
the relationship is not broken off at this point.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even think it was a real relationship, but whatever. I just have
None of it's real.
ridiculous standards. She met Ben on Facebook. Ben starts messaging her on Facebook, and she goes on a trip to meet him. Okay, and then she does the same thing 3 months later with Scotty. Okay, Scotty starts talking to her on Facebook, and they make plans to go meet up in Louisiana and share an Airbnb together. Okay, if you had been raped in Santa Fe the first time you did it, why would you meet like the guy's friend from the internet and do the same thing again? I'm just like,
well, it's just a coincidence. Second time, it surely wouldn't happen.
not only that, but like this establishes a pattern of like meeting people online and then going to fuck them like 3 months later or whatever.
And it got to the point where Scotty was just like really done with it. Me and him had a serious connection, and he didn't want to lose that. And so he ended up telling me, look, I don't know if you and Ben have like something, like if y'all have something serious going on or whatever, but I just want to let you know that you're not the only one he's seeing. The only reason why he's mentioned you to me is because we're talking. And I think he just doesn't want to get out or something. I don't know.
Right.
But I'm pretty sure he's married. I've met his wife actually. And with that information, I thought about it that night, and I realized that I didn't want to be used by him anymore. And so I messaged him and I told him that I didn't want to talk to him anymore. And I think in that moment he realized that I must have known.
Right.
Because he spent the next like 3 days calling me non-stop. I would answer the phone and I would talk to him for a while. I'm like, I'm really sorry, but this is like, I just can't do this, and I'm not cool with it. And he would talk to me for like hours.
So she tried to break up with Ben, and he like flipped out and was like, no, don't leave me. Basically is what we're getting from this.
Hours and hours. I'm like, just stop calling me. Like, you're crazy. Now I live with my parents, so like, and I also have kids, and I would go out to my car to go talk to him because my whole family is asleep. And I would tell him that. I'm like, yo, I'm sorry. I'm really sorry you feel this way, but I cannot talk to you anymore. It's really late. Like, for me, it's like 1 o'clock in the morning. I have to be up for work in like 4 hours. And he just didn't care. He just kept calling me. And I don't know, like, I know I should have shut my phone off, but
Just block his number, right? Like, why wouldn't you block his phone number?
When you're in the
it was
middle of a
even then.
situation
That's what I would do.
like that,
That shit is crazy.
it can be hard
Yeah.
to disengage.
If that's true, I hope that, we learn to have conducted ourselves better in the years since, if this is a true story. Because this is like fucking gaslighty, abusive shit here, for sure, if this happened.
But even then I was like, oh my God, I don't know. I would shut off my phone, and then I wake up, I went to work, I'd keep it shut off, and then I'd turn it back on. It was just like message, calling, it was constant. And then finally, I don't know what clicked in him, but then he was just like, I guess he turned into fuck you mode, and it was over, finally.
But also, I don't know how true this is, because we know that well into May, she was still telling him that she loved him and that she wanted to be with him, right? Who knows?
And I went to New Orleans, and Scotty was awesome. And let me tell you, this is
You know what? I want one of them, either Ben or Taylor, to produce the call logs from that time so we can see if Ben called her like a bunch of times. I'm fucking crazy. I've been up so late. This is just insane. I don't know what I'm talking about. I want a serious investigation into this. I want both parties to cooperate with Discovery. I want everyone's DMs and emails from the last 7 years. Like, let's do this, okay? Let's fucking do it. Let's figure this out.
That's what the lawsuits are for.
That's what I want. But let me do it. I trust myself way more than either party or a lawyer.
You're an impartial.
So, my parents,
I'm not impartial. I'm deeply motivated to find the truth.
how they were with me meeting Ben. Like, oh, I need this, and this. When I told them I was going to meet Scotty, they didn't give a fit.
I want to explore every accusation made, not just the rape shit, but like, did he call you a bunch of times when you tried to break up with him? All of that.
I didn't give a fuck.
I want to subpoena the phone companies so I can get deleted messages for everything. Only then will I be satisfied in this.
I don't know what it is, but I think they knew before I even knew, So,
Someone in the chat says that he's apparently done nothing but insult you ever since. Did did you experience any of that? Like what was that? Like you said he entered like fuck you mode. Like what was that like?
Oh, he didn't speak to me at all. The next time I saw him was in July, maybe. When was the first time I went to Seattle? I think it was in July. Yeah, I think it was in July or something. I went there and
I guess we can verify that too if we really cared. I didn't bother because it doesn't really matter, but we can figure out when the Seattle meetup was in the summer of 2017 if we need to.
it felt very weird. Well, it didn't feel weird at Scotty's house. It was fine. Met Chelsea. She was very nice. Met TJ. TJ was very different than when I met him in Santa Fe. I think in Santa Fe, he just saw me as one of Ben's side girls that he's going to hook up with tonight, and he'll never have to see again, so he didn't care.
Right.
But meeting him in Seattle, like, I talked to TJ on the porch for like an hour, and because they had a whole studio, so it was cool for people to come. And I went there, and the strangest thing happened, which was Ben acted like he had never met me before in his whole life. He acted like nothing had happened. In fact, he didn't say anything to me when I came in there.
I mean, it could just be he's super awkward and he feels shitty that you're there. He could be offended that Scotty is bringing the girlfriend that he stole from him to his show, to his workplace, right? And like he doesn't want to make a scene, but also he doesn't know how to react. Like it could be that.
I had a moment like that where I was just like, I'm just not going to, like, the 5 months or whatever that never happened.
This all happened within 4 months too, from like, or I guess July, so like 6 months from February to July.
As far as things being talked about to me, or talked about me, I didn't hear that until after we had moved here. And that's when I'd let people know on Discord or something about that I, like, how I met Scotty. And that's when I had multiple people come to me and say, I already knew that because Ben told us everything. Oh, I went to a bar with Ben in Seattle and he told me that, you know, you're easy and Scotty's getting, like, what do you call him?
I love the idea of Ben just getting trashed and like shit talking all these people. I could totally see that. Paul does that too. Like Paul's talked so much shit on Ben like over the years in ideology streams. And then when he meets him, it's like, hey buddy, like I missed you.
because Paul's
I have
fake,
no
that's
hard
why.
feelings. Then they get drunk and the real them comes out. It's like, holy shit.
Or whatever the fuck they say. I don't
Seconds,
know.
gross.
Yeah.
I hate when guys talk like that. You're like, women are a piece of meat. It's fucking gross.
Fucking hate it.
That shows you Ben's the way Ben views women in general, though. Like,
Yeah,
it's-
that was one of the things. Yeah, you're right. That was one of the things that was said. The sloppy second saying the, what was it? Oh, this was an interesting one. That I got with Scotty to make Ben jealous. Well, Ben, it's been 4 years. Are you jealous yet? Are you jealous? Oh, another one was that I got with Scotty to get closer to Ben.
Okay. I don't think
After
that was
DP broke
necessary.
up. Yeah, after DP broke up, he apparently called me the Yoko Ono of DP, which was interesting because it's funny.
I mean,
I don't think, I think TJ is the Yoko Ono of DP. I don't think it was Taylor.
true.
TJ wanted that to end for like 6 months. Like
He did.
since around then when they moved back to Louisiana, like he was looking for a way out. It was Adpocalypse that killed DP probably.
DJ moved out first, right? He just like left between episodes.
No, TJ, Scotty, and Paul all moved to Louisiana.
Oh, that's right. Yeah, they got all in the car, and their dog wasn't allowed, and
I
house
don't
burned
know.
down. And
Yeah. Well, that was way later, but yeah.
Because it actually does relate, because Yoko Ono did not break up the Beatles.
Right.
But you get blamed for it, so you can blame me all you want, but I didn't do it.
That's actually quite
you
applicable.
deleting a wonderful video that they did without you
Right.
is the reason. You drinking on the show constantly, not being able to do the show is the reason.
I think that more than the first, right? Like Ben getting drunk and crashing out on DP is probably more difficult to work with than him deleting Plan C, right? So I think TJ was trying to get out, like if Ben was difficult to work with, TJ was trying to get out of it for that reason also, not just financial reasons. And Plan C was the scapegoat for that, right?
what video was deleted a wonderful video. Is that the Lost Up episode?
No, that's Plan C. That's the one where with the dildo, remember?
I do now.
The one where Brett Keane talks about Ben cheating on his wife that I've never seen. I asked for that, like I've been asking people in like the servers to find that for me. It actually is legitimately lost. It's like the one thing that I haven't been able to get. So if someone listening to this can produce Plan C for me, I would be so grateful, and everyone watching would be grateful. That would be awesome, and I can review that for you guys too. That's what I need for my collection here in the Shadow Gallery. I need that. I need that lost media to add to my collection. Please
Get it
get
on
that for me.
VHS.
Your continuous use of the platform to hook up with very young women is the reason. Your blatant disrespect to the people that you work with and claim to be friends with is the reason. There are so many reasons, and not one of them has to do with me. And it's so telling that me as a woman who has not shit to do with that at all, he has the gall to say that it was all me.
Right.
Someone who came in.
You know, if we get that too, we'll finally know the truth about whether it was a dildo or not. We'll finally know if there was a dildo.
So, but that was what, he never said any of that to me. In fact, Seattle meetup, that I went to, the last DP meetup that they had, he got very drunk, and I didn't speak to him all evening. I was with Scotty, so he said like hi or something. I was like, hi. And he said, I just wanted to say, and then he started crying a little. And he was like, I just want to say I'm sorry about everything. I'm like, okay, that's nice.
I'm sure.
Meanwhile, he's the whole time talking shit, apparently, to like some of the more well-known fans. I'm not gonna say their names, but they told me. Oh, I'm just so sorry.
Yeah, their well-known fans are all like, like they're all double agents for drama, you know.
Were there signs of like him trying
I skipped over all that.
to manipulate you while you work together?
Me and Ben, or me and
You and Ben.
So we're going back to this. She asks her, what are the signs that Ben was trying to manipulate you?
I think what he was attempting to do, because he would send me a lot of photos. Oh, one of them was, because before even the stuff with Scotty, he would send me photos of like, I just went to my therapist and, you know, I just feel like such a terrible person. And he'd send me photos of him crying and stuff. And I think that was his attempt to try and, I don't know if he was attempting to manipulate me in some kind of way into like, because he would always send those in moments where I was like.
She's basically saying that Ben was a psychic vampire who just wanted someone to satisfy his emotional needs at this point, right? Which, you know, whatever. That's the accusation that she's making here from what I take away from it.
Like seeming like I was not interested, you know. So I don't know if that's how he's gotten people to feel sorry for him. And I don't really know. I mean, I guess it kind of worked because I would still talk to him, but I guess the biggest one was when I was trying to break up with him as if we were together. I don't know. It's kind of hard to like whatever. Anyway.
So she agrees with me that they weren't really together.
But he sent me like some photo of him crying, just saying like, "Oh, this is what this is all doing to me." And
Yeah, that's
so
kind of
I think, yeah, it wasn't like he was like a super angry person or whatever. It was more like just whining constantly, very, very whiny.
Sounds very childish. Honestly, it sounds like me in my first couple relationships when I was like fucking 16. You grow up, you get older, you realize how to treat people, you learn fucking empathy. Sounds like Ben has never done any of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds very, very childish. So would he like gaslight you or anything like that? Like tell you like you're crazy or stuff like that?
I think he realized that wasn't going to work with me. He would frequently say stuff like, "Oh, you're so strong," like, "Oh, you could really like dominate me," and that kind of thing. I don't really know why, because I'm not like an especially like big person.
I will tell you, you're a million.
Well, because you're 5'9" and he's like a manlet. It sounds like is why. I don't know.
I'm stronger than he is. You're willing to fucking come out and talk about this, and after all, you fucking.
You tower over him like Lady Demascu or whatever. Did I get that right? What's her name?
Dimitrescu.
Dimitrescu.
Been through him.
Well, I mean, the only time I can think of him trying to gaslight me was the night after Coyote Cafe.
Okay.
Really just like the whole like, oh, altitude sickness and we were both drunk. I don't know what happened, but I know it was crazy, you know, that kind of thing.
Okay.
I guess he had said something to Scotty like, "Oh, she's so strong, she can fuck me up," and it's like, oh my god, no, like what?
I almost wonder if that was a gaslighting tactic in and of itself. Like they're constantly telling you you're strong and going around like, "Oh yeah, she's so strong," like to make you and other people think that, oh, he's the weak one in the relationship. You're definitely the one that could overpower him or manipulate him, right?
Yeah, he had said stuff like I threw him around, and you know,
I'm gonna edit in like a clip of Wings like knocking over his wife when she says that.
Was it staged or was it not?
It wasn't staged, bro. You guys are fucking retarded. Like the people who think that's fake are just out of their fucking minds.
So, I guess overall, what would you say were the biggest red flags about your overall interactions with Ben throughout the entire thing?
The biggest red flag for me was that he contacted me in the first place. That should have never happened.
You mean like him being a public figure?
And contacting me, yeah.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, that, I guess, seeing the name on his phone and letting him convince me that it was his mom was one.
Did I leave that in here or did I cut that out? There's a point where she says, "Oh, Ben got a call from someone named on his phone and he went and he told me."
Cut that out.
Okay. Well, yeah. So Ben got a call from a woman named at some point when they were together and he told her that it was his mom and she believed it is the point.
I guess another one would be gaslighting me into believing that we had consensual sex when I was blackout drunk. Not allowing me to meet up with Scotty. I guess is another. Really another one is just the constant manipulation with the crying and everything. The not speaking to me on the weekends.
Yeah, that's kind of a big red flag.
And then really the biggest red flag was how he acted when I tried to leave him. I think it was like the third night or something, or maybe it was the second. But I was out there, it was like 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, and he had been calling over and over, and I was just like, okay, whatever. And I talked to him, and I was so sleepy from not sleeping, from him constantly contacting me. And I told him, I'm like, Ben, I really just can't deal with this anymore. Like, I'm hallucinating. I think there was a tree that was outside my car. No, I mean, like, there was a tree. It was like planted, like, you know, it was a very large oak tree.
No, the fact you said you were
Those trees.
Yeah.
Yeah, this woman in trees.
He was just talking to a wall, because at that point I really didn't even know what he was talking about. I was just like, oh my god, okay, whatever. He's in the trees and stuff. Like, I don't know, I think I should go to sleep. And he was just like, no, I need to say this other thing. I need to say this other thing.
The scene this paints in my head of like Ben crying on the phone and her like, yeah, there's monkeys in the trees. And he's like, no, I need to say this to you. Like, what a fucking nightmare situation to be in.
Right.
But yeah, so.
So did he try and use means of keeping you from speaking or talking about things.
Oh, after the fact?
Yeah, after the fact. I don't know if you wanted to get into that or not. Or touch upon it or whatever you want to do.
Inadvertently, he did. I think he realized that I wasn't going to. Like, at the time, like, DP was still going. DP went on for a while before it ended.
Right.
And,
It's still going.
I mean, I'd said some things
Yeah.
in Discord about him.
Like, props to Ben, if nothing else, for keeping that alive for like so long through just endless bullshit. Like,
Who's on the show now that Billy left?
I think
Is
just
it him and Shibisky?
like out of the two shows, I legitimately like DP could become like what it was again, you know? Like, I could easily see that. Like, because I was thinking about like what was so great about the Drunken Peasants during its golden age, and really it was like the chemistry of the cast was amazing at the time, right? But here's the problem: they're not the same people anymore. So even if you had the same cast, you wouldn't have the same energy or chemistry. It needs to be a new regular cast of people who have the chemistry. Ben and Billy were great, but like, just, you know, I think Paul could be good on there. Like, I know I've said it like a bunch of times before, like my DP, like current 2025 dream team would be like Ben, Paul, Billy, and Joe. I think is like just hilarious every time he's on.
That'd be so
there.
fucking good.
Yeah, I know, wouldn't it? So there's the chemistry of the cast. The other thing is like the Brett Keane antagonism, you know, like so much of like the flow of everything and the momentum of the show was like seeing the drama of like what Brett Keane, like what their back and forth was going to be, you know? And like there's that, like Jared Genesis is not Brett Keane. Like he's a gross piece of shit who's like a total lolcow, but he's not going to give you the same performance that Brett Keane gives you, you know? There's that aspect of it, but the other aspect of it was the fan community around DP in those days, and all of the like fan art and the fan songs, and like there was so much momentum from like the viewers, and I think that can be recaptured, and like we're back in the era where that's needed, right? Where that edgy left podcast is needed again, and like it could be that it could be like a total just like you know, the embodiment of what it was. But this time without TJ trying to do a pseudo alt-right grift at the same time. We're nearing the end of this marathon. We've got 10 minutes of this left, and then maybe like 5 to 10 minutes of that other video.
Because I think he felt like the show just being around, I wouldn't want to say anything because I was with Scotty and I didn't want to hurt the show. And I didn't. I didn't want to hurt the show. And that's the sad thing, is that I felt like I couldn't really talk about it. I tried to, but and it's not like any of the guys ever told me I couldn't.
Right.
But I just knew that was obviously that was going to hurt the show.
Yeah.
But after it ended, all I can say is that there were agreements that I knew about.
Okay, so we're back now to what I was talking about at the start of this, right? Where the timing is interesting. So she's saying that before, when she wanted to talk about this, she couldn't because of legal agreements.
And I felt at the time that if I said anything, that it could be used against people that I love. So
Right.
I didn't say anything. And now that there isn't anything, now I can. So
that means that whatever legal restriction or whatever agreement that was keeping her from speaking out because she was afraid of hurting the one she loves, that agreement has reached its resolution or whatever. Like, it's no longer holding her back. So that's interesting, just from the, you know, from what we sort of know about like how DP ended, and like, does it give you insight of what exactly the arrangement was with the end of DP? Why now why now in 2021 is she allowed to say this when before that she couldn't, you know? This is another thing I'm curious about that I want to know.
you know, I guess there's that. But yeah, there was not anything specifically towards me. Like
Right.
It wasn't like, you know, there wasn't something that I had signed or whatever it is. I just was aware that there were legal agreements.
Right. Yeah, apparently Ben broke said agreement himself, according to a number of people who are in my chat.
Yeah,
Let me
he
know.
Well, I can tell you this, that I've been told that I can say this. The Albuquerque meetup was actually
We're about to get into something here that is pretty interesting, and that actually would, when I said earlier that there is some speculation about like there could possibly be like malicious intent behind this.
the Albuquerque meetup was actually filmed by someone that they had paid to do a behind the scenes documentary. Now that footage was lost, and when we moved to down here, there was a big box that had a bunch of TJ and Scotty's dad's stuff in it.
Does that sound interesting to you? They had paid someone to do an Albuquerque meetup, and then they had whatever business dispute, and DP split up, right? And then years later, they find the quote unquote missing footage that's valuable now in a box of TJ's dad's stuff. How would you lose something in that box unless you deliberately put it inside of there? It's a box.
Sometimes things just appear in boxes.
Yeah, in a specific box that belonged to your dead dad that you only open on the rarest of occasions. In your treasure box, right?
And now it wasn't like a box that we were going to really open because it's all of his personal stuff. It's just a box that they bring. It's got all of his stuff, you know. So, but I opened it because I had asked Scotty, I'm like, oh.
I think that they put that in there on purpose to hide it. That's my conspiracy. It's possible that happened. I'll say that. It's possible. I'm not alleging this. I'm saying that it is a possibility that they put that footage in there to hide it during the legal negotiations.
Well, can I look at your dad's things? Like, I'm curious. I've never met him, and I'd really like to see the stuff. And he's like, okay. And while I was rifling through this box of miscellaneous things, I found a flash drive. I went and put it on the computer, and it was all the files from Albuquerque. I'm like, what? What the hell? I told him, like, I've been interested in editing since you guys do the show. Like, maybe I could give it a try or something. And I know they may have been aware of it, that we were going to edit it, and we got it ready to be released. We were really excited. It was like the last unseen DP between footage with all four of them. And when we released it, Ben went on his Ben Pie stream and lied and said he was not made aware of it, and severely hurt sales on the video. He said he was not going to get money from it, which is a lie.
So she's claiming that Ben. So first of all, I believe the video, at least at the time of this stream, was still available to purchase, and I think they say that here. So it's not like Ben stopped them from selling the video. Ben on his stream said that he wasn't going to receive money from it, and he didn't condone it, basically. So who fucking knows? But the point is, she has reason now. She's saying motivation to dislike Ben because she's blaming him for hurting sales on the Albuquerque video she edited that her family's business would have profited from.
It's so funny because he hurt his own self to try and make those three guys look bad.
Right.
For his own, not even personal monetary gain, but his own personal, like, vendetta game, like a revenge game for some reason. And it was so strange because, like, it was honestly very, like, I felt it really hurt because I spent so much time, like, learning to edit, to do it. And I was really, really proud of it. And just shit all over it for no reason.
I'm sorry.
Other than to, yeah, it really hurt. I really
I'm sorry. So in 2018, TJ was advertising this video.
Yeah, that was another thing, I guess.
That really sucks, yeah. It
You
does...
still buy the ABQ meetup movie?
So that means that this happened in 2018. Ben trashed it or said he didn't condone it. And then now 3 years later in 2021, you're saying that you're blaming him for hurting the sales on it, even though it was still up at that time.
I'm pretty sure you can.
Huh. Yeah, he seems
Which she just said, I'm pretty sure you can still buy it.
to do that a lot. Like, he seems to just shoot himself in the foot. Like, honestly, I've heard... Now, I'm actually curious what you know about this.
So when she says that Ben... Well, whatever. I mean, we're so off on a tangent right now. This has nothing to do with the accusations themselves, but it does indicate that she holds a grudge on Ben for more than date raping her, right? For also ruining her Albuquerque meetup premiere or whatever.
Or if you can get into it. If you can't, that's fine. Because I didn't watch the Plan C stream, which was the I guess the biggest catalyst for the whole breakup. I didn't watch that, but from what I heard, the reason that Ben took that down was because in that stream they watched a Brett Keane video where Brett Keane made a comment or accused Ben of cheating on his wife.
So again, my plea to the audience, somebody give me that stream. Like, someone has to. Some version of it has to exist out there. Come on. You guys, come on.
Or more.
Come on. Get me that Plan C.
I'm sorry, I'm looking at the DP Albuquerque meetup thing, and I see our Disney World trip that I edited, and I filmed it, and I was so excited.
Well, I'm glad that's still a thing that people can go
it
watch.
It is still a thing. Yeah, you can. It's $6.66. So, and then when you get it, you get the Disney thing. The DP does Disney, which is
So now they're shilling their Albuquerque meetup DVD or on demand.
and Paul and Ashley and Chelsea.
That she edited it.
Yeah, that she edited, but it's like, what you're talking about your rape allegations. What now you're talking about how, like, Ben, like, he fucked you over on the meetup and you guys can still buy it. This guy raped me, but you can still go buy the fucking pay-per-view. What the fuck? That I edited together of my rapist.
Edited him out or edited?
No, if she edited the Albuquerque meetup, Ben was there. He was in it.
Yeah, you'd think that she, as emotionally fragile as she is, apparently.
I don't know. I haven't seen it. Can one of you guys, hey, one of you, my brothers, my co-conspirators, Can one of you get me the Albuquerque meetup video? I'm not going to review it. I just want to see it for myself. Add it to my collection. Thank you.
Okay,
So,
well,
anyway. Yeah, that's everything, I guess.
I guess. I would just say the last question would be, is there anything else that you think people should know about Ben? Especially
Ben is going to use you. He will. And he doesn't care to cast you aside, no matter how good a friend you think he is, no matter how much of a romantic relationship you have with him. It does not matter. You don't mean anything to him at all, including the people on his show now, including Billy. He does not care. He is using you for his own personal gain. All he cares about is that you're saying good things about him. And for you, to be talking about me in such a way, and you know.
Yeah, I don't know. So I guess in 2021, Ben had a bunch of stans. If that, I don't think that's the case anymore. The one thing is clear is that he is a flawed person, just like everyone else. Again, like when we look at these people, they're just people, right? They can make cool art that you find entertaining, but that doesn't mean that they're like heroes or above you, or that you should look up to them, or that you should give them power over you, or that you should seek their approval, right? They're just people. Like you can observe them just as they are, right? These are just people. TJ is not a king. He's not a god. He's just a person. He's really a muggle, honestly. Maybe a squib at best.
What you're saying. I know you guys are watching this. For you to continually harass me or the other victims of Ben and not even know us, I don't even know what to say to you. All I know is that...
And nobody should harass anyone in this situation, right? People shouldn't be on Reddit, like, making the accusations against Ben. They shouldn't harass Ben, follow him around and stalk him with the accusations. And people shouldn't harass Taylor either. They shouldn't go out and they shouldn't try to, like, tell her she's a liar or whatever. Because we don't know. We don't know for sure if she's lying, right? We have all this evidence. We have everything we looked at. But we're agnostic. We don't know for sure. We can't know for sure. We just know what the evidence suggests and we defer to that. Now, if there was some concrete proof that Taylor committed a crime, then whatever. But we don't have that. That doesn't exist. No matter how much you want that for closure or whatever, we don't have it. It doesn't seem like that exists either.
You're being brainwashed by him. And once again, he does not care about you at all. At all.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter what I showed you. It doesn't matter what I say. For some reason, you have got it in your head that anyone who says anything bad about Ben is just wrong and they're just horrible. And it's crazy to me, Jaime, because like I've never talked to these people in my life ever.
Yeah.
And I just don't get it. Like I don't understand how a perfect stranger, you could spend your whole life dedicated, one of these Twitters at least is just dedicated to harassing victims of abuse. It's like the strangest thing I've ever seen.
It blows my mind because I look at these people and just
For
like...
a man who doesn't care about you at all.
I'm like, do you really want to like die on this hill of like...
Yeah. The moral of this is don't be a simp, right? Like, don't be a simp for Ben. Don't be a simp for TJ and DFF and Taylor and the accusations. Think for yourself, right? Like, don't be in anyone's cult. That's the point. That's what I want to get through. Stop thinking about like things in a religious way, right? That's the whole point of doing this stream. That's the whole point of reacting to all of this. I don't want you guys to take any of this shit on faith. You don't know. And there's no good evidence for it. Okay? So we're going to stop talking about this with certainty. We're going to not condemn someone because of the evidence we do have. It suggests that they didn't do it.
Attacking like victims, like you don't even know the whole situation. It's really easy to, but unfortunately that's the problem. Ben has cultivated a situation. He's cultivated an audience where like the people
Jaime is a piece of shit too. So irresponsible. She makes no effort to look for evidence. She makes no effort to try to find DMs or to try to find proof of or corroborate anything that's being said. Completely irresponsible. Just a vacuous idiot who just gets so much worse over the years. I really just have a strong dislike of this person.
watch him defend him from criticism, and he uses that power dynamic that he has as a public figure to like coerce people into thinking that he's some great guy, and there's a really defensive attitude. I realized that when a year ago or a little longer, I just criticized Ben about some things, and like he immediately like dragged me into his Discord. So his trolls, like pretty much everyone that was active in there was like, "You're a liar, Jaime. Fuck you. You're a liar. Stop attacking our Ben." And like,
Yeah, I think I'd heard you talk about this. Yeah.
yeah, it's really fucked because it's.
How did he drag you into his Discord?
By force.
Yeah. The same way he forced Taylor to go to Santa Fe.
It's very clear these people aren't really thinking for themselves. They're just, oh, Ben said this is true, so it must be true. Ben said this person is a piece of shit, so they're a piece of shit. And these people aren't thinking. Like, guys, you do realize that, like, the more this comes out, like, everyone's going to remember that you were simping for Ben harder than anyone else.
She dropped this, too.
attaching yourself to this person. And I feel like a lot of these people don't know who they're attaching themselves to, who they're willing to like go to bat for.
Like you and Fancy, right? You shouldn't have gone to bat for him because he was a predator, and you did. Because of your blind loyalty and your sycophantic behavior, because they gratified you emotionally.
And it's kind of sad. Like I said, like, if you don't believe the victims, if you don't believe their stories, that's fine.
Yeah, that's fine.
Wait for more evidence then, or just don't make
Let
up
me
your
tell you
mind.
this.
Right. That's the position all of us should have right now. Everyone should have that position.
I don't know what kind of evidence you're wanting people to
Right.
provide for a night that, like, I don't know what you want.
Okay, well, the evidence we do have shows like intentionality. It shows the mind frame of the person when they were in the situation. It shows how they felt immediately after it. It shows how they felt about it months after it happened, right? We have those things. That's what we have for evidence. And that's not perfect evidence, but that is good evidence for the claims that are being made.
Yeah, that's another point. It's very hard to prove any of this. Like, how do you prove that someone did that to you? How do you prove, like you said, you weren't even sure if you were roofied or not, but it sounds like you definitely blacked out that night. How do you prove the events of that night? You weren't wearing a body cam, right? Like, I don't know what evidence people expect. Like, and if we just have that standard where it's like, oh, you don't have any hard evidence to prove this, I know what people say, oh, well, you can destroy someone very easily that way, but by the same token, you can also get away with rape pretty easily that way. Like,
That's true.
all I want people to do is, look, if you listen to this entire stream and you don't believe the story that Taylor told, that's fine. Wait, don't make your mind up yet, but I will ask you to pay attention to this channel as I continue to interview more people. There's already another person who's
She's talking about it here, and they never followed up on this.
another victim who's going to come on and talk. If there's anyone else, I've seen people in the chat throughout the stream say Ben did the same to me, Ben did the same to me, at multiple different points of your story, Taylor. Like, so if you are out there and you want to come forward and talk about this, you have a platform to talk about this. There's the majority of the people who are watching right now are in support. So if you come forward, you will be supported. You will have a safe place to tell your story. No one's going to shit on you. There might be some people
She's like begging people to come forward and like talk shit about this.
out there that try and shit on you, but you got to remember, those people are in the mind.
Remember at the start of this, I'm not in this for the drama. I'm not invested in this. Once I'm done with my Ben videos, I'm not going to be a drama streamer anymore. If this is the content you want, you should unsubscribe.
Unsub.
Like, yeah. Now we're getting like, please come forward with more stories. I don't want this to end. Please, more.
Minority. At the end of the day, like, Ben's little DP empire is kind of crumbling, and I take no pleasure in that. Look, as I said, I just wanted to enjoy my favorite podcast. All right, that's all I ever wanted. I really enjoyed this podcast.
All I ever wanted was to enjoy my favorite podcast. I never wanted to be a star. I was called by a greater force than myself to put on the stupid makeup and start a live stream.
You see, some people are called to leadership,
Yeah.
and you know the rest of the quote.
Sometimes
here.
the thug life chooses you.
No,
all
that's
four
not
of the guys
what
that were
Oscar
originally
Isaac
in it,
said.
I thought it was great. I thought they were all good people. Even as I've levied my criticisms against Ben, I've continued to say he's a good dude. I've continued to support him. I've continued. Heck,
You have?
I was a patron until about a year ago of Ben Pie specifically because I felt bad. I felt bad after the show broke up, and I wanted to send at least a little bit of support his way.
All right, this is over. I ended it here. Okay. So we did it. We watched everything relevant to that.
Our first gauntlet.
Well, we're not done. We do have one more thing to watch, but do you have any thoughts on that on what we just went through? I feel like we covered a lot of ground. It's dumb. There actually was some demand for this. People were
No, there is
like,
demand.
After I put out the last one, people were like,
Look at Paul's face.
Yeah, I know. Just picture Jaime Darkay's face popping out of the shadows there.
This was not the Dick Beard stream, was it?
I don't know. We're only going to watch
his
the
shirt's
first
different.
like 15 minutes of this. Okay, guys. So we just watched the allegation stream. I went through a ton of evidence for that. You know, I went through a ton of shit with that. Showed you all the evidence. We've been through DMs. We've looked at dates. We've tried to establish a timeline of events. We've tried to establish frames of mind and intentionality. We've done our diligence the best we can with the evidence that I have. If anyone has any more evidence, please come forward. The next thing I'm going to play is kind of like an epilogue to what we watched. So DP split up at the end of 2017. Those allegations we watched came out in 2021. There have been no interactions, publicly at least, between Ben and the DFF cast prior to last year in 2024. Ben and Paul got drunk and decided to do the stream together. I think Ben popped into his chat when Paul was doing a Poltergeist stream. And we were given this little bit of feel-good nostalgia reunion, but they do talk about the allegations a bit here. So we are going to watch just the first 10 or 15 minutes of this. The allegations get brought up a couple times.
Okay, and I guess we're live. Here we be. Here we are. Tis Ben, tis Paul.
Yes. For the first time in what, like 8 years?
Is it
7 years?
I think that's fucking crazy, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's nuts.
Yeah.
A long fucking time.
Yeah.
But cool to see you. Well, like I said, man, I'm not a Mr. Reach Out and touch someone. I just kind of figured.
Yeah.
But yeah, I was
I
happy
think
to
we
see
assume
you.
a lot, like, and I think that might kind of be a problem.
Yeah. Oh, for sure. For sure.
And
But, no, yeah, people don't know that. I tell them that trivia all the time. I was like, when, especially if I catch somebody who's trying to like subtly sneak diss you or something. I'm like, well, if you like me, you better be thankful to Ben and not sneak diss him, because I wouldn't be sitting here.
So, I mean, really, Ben's real crime is inflicting Paul's ego upon the world. It sounds like. That's the real accusation.
Probably doing this. I'd still be working at a school district, and then
I get relentlessly shit on, but I've never blamed you for it, sir.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, I appreciate that, because I had nothing. I had no say one way or the other than my choice of what to do at that moment. I said what I know about that. You know what I mean? The idea, people have this idea that like on business things, before I was involved with them as a co-owner in something, that like the Kirks, I was in the little coven like with them and other people that do all kinds of background shit.
Yeah.
And like that just was not the case.
Is Paul telling on himself here? A lot of people have said that I was part of the conspiracy of ruining your life, but I just want to make sure that I wasn't. But there definitely was a conspiracy, but I wasn't a part of it.
There are so many people that pretend like they know what happened.
Oh yeah.
And
it's like I was there. I was a personality on the show, and I don't even know everything that happens, nor is it my business. You know what I mean? Like, I tell people that all the time. It's like, dude, when the bands break up or whatever, nobody ever gets to hear the real fucking dirt or whatever. I don't think after a certain amount of years, people don't get to know it anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah.
Like, even those of us that went through it, it's kind of morphed in my mind. I don't know if it has in yours. It's like changed into a different thing.
It has.
A lot of your life has, though, Paul. Like your memory is just constantly malleable. Like everything is just changing based on how you feel about it. How did that happen? How do I feel like it happened? That must be correct.
Yeah. That was part of getting over it. I tell people all the time, like when they ask me about DP, like they used to do it back in the early days when we started DFF to try and make me salty. Because like DP this, DP that, DP, DPT, right? Yeah. But I take it way different now, right? I really would, when I was on that show, because I just felt the energy of it. I was just like, this is going to be huge.
We were the Howard Stern of YouTube, basically.
So, yeah, and I think in a fucking alternate universe where whatever the shit was could have worked out, we would still be that.
I'm still pretty reasonable. Things could still be worked out, but I will say the Jaime Darky kind of shit was...
I'm still pretty reasonable. This shit could still work out.
He wants Paul back on DP probably, because that was, this was before Paul went back on. So that's what they're talking about.
Yeah, I know. I just remember Paul frequently saying that Ben hated me the entire time.
In this stream, I don't think we're going to watch that much of it, but there's a point where they talk about it, and he said, like, well, I never said that you were lied to. So who knows? Who fucking knows at this point?
I don't know if you know how I feel about Jaime Darky, so I was very...
They're talking about the Darky stream, Dark-A stream. I'm saying it like Paul now. I don't know if you know how I feel about Jaime Darky.
Conversation, but that was all bullshit, and that was all orchestrated.
Well, here's the thing.
It was. I'm not saying you're part of it, but it was.
Sure.
So Ben here is saying that the Jaime Darky stream was orchestrated. That's it. I'm not saying you were part of it, Paul, but I'm saying that it was orchestrated. So that's how Ben feels about it. This is, as far as I know, this is the only time Ben has ever publicly commented on it on a stream.
And like I said, I can't speak to that with any kind of authority, because when I heard about that and went and watched the interview that you're talking about,
it's trash.
I was immediately pissed that my name was even mentioned, because I was like,
okay, so remember in the last episode we did where we cover this, I said Paul's reaction to it was what? He was upset that he was brought up in the allegations, which I didn't even leave that in the video. He was upset that he was brought up in the allegations, and he also fucking said like there should have been a police report or whatever. Like you're gonna see that here, like Paul's actual reaction to what we just watched.
I don't know if people know this, but we were business partners. We weren't like privy to each other's personal dealings and who we dated and shit. Was not really like, we weren't that kind of buddies. People assume we were because we did that on the show a lot, right? But I had a private life and so did you. And my name being brought up in stories to verify this, that, I just hated
to make Jaime fucking Darky's mentally ill ass more famous.
If that's what it was, then that's what it was. But I shut it down on my end immediately.
I'm not saying it was you. I don't blame you at all, Paul. Like,
I don't fucking play fast and loose with people's reputations. I don't jump on bandwagons. You know me, dude. If you
knew me.
I don't know if that's true, but So basically, here he's saying like I don't support the allegations being made. I don't play fast and loose with people's reputations, right? And I wonder if Paul has also seen all the evidence that we've seen. And Paul claims that he doesn't watch Alchemist Soil, but we know that he's at least seen some of the videos. If Paul is watching this, Paul, you should like look at the DMs, right? Look at the evidence that we went through at the beginning of this, at the very start of this. Look at that and like measure that up against the allegation stream, right? Like, and you should speak out about that because you like if like I'm not saying like call out Taylor for making up accusations or something like that, but you should say, hey, I looked at because your name was used to verify them, right? Like you just said, your name was used to validate some of the things that were said by Jaime Darkey, some of the Jaime Darkey, some of the allegations that were made. So you should speak out on it.
Like, not to the most extent, but you didn't see me being this like.
No, and if I did, I would have been done spoke up. But no, I never saw you do anything fucking criminal other than like smoke weed in states where we shouldn't. Yeah, you know what I mean. But get discharged on that myself as well, right? So like, yeah, no, I mean, I've always maintained that. And honestly, when it comes to like,
and if Paul thought Ben was a rapist, why would this stream be happening right now?
Exactly.
He knows Taylor well, right? Like
I assume he does.
He considers the Kirk's family basically is what he said to them when he was crying. But like, it's so absurd to think that Paul seriously entertains the accusations based on this stream even happening, let alone the, 5 or 6 more times since then that they've been on each other's shows or streams.
See, I think people being on that show taught me something that I never knew, which was that there are fans of wrestling that believe that shit is real. They're grown. They're grown.
Yes.
And I didn't know those people existed in real life until I was on the Drunken Peasants.
Yeah. Hey, have you noticed that most of them are from the UK? I noticed like the people in the UK view us as like characters.
Yeah, and
more than any other place.
They think that everything that comes out of our culture is what we are in real life, and that it must be real, and we believe it's real. And like, there's so much misconception because like one of the things that the DP availed me of was the ability as a nobody when I started to talk to people from all over the fucking planet. Still to this day, I'm sure it's the same over there. We've got a wide array of people in Europe and fucking some Asian folks that are watching our show.
Real blue collar and brown people across the world watching a show.
Yeah, I remember we had the first ever DP meetup in London.
Yeah,
and it was in.
Right? It was like you guys just showed up at a pub.
Oh, what did I say at the start of this? London.
I don't know. I don't know what the status of everything is, but if you popped up at a meetup, it would just be a fucking hug and a picture.
Okay, so listen to this part here, right? Listen to what Ben says here, and if this is true, think about the implications of it with everything we've looked at tonight.
Was invited to the one in Vegas.
Well, yeah, man. I mean, you would be like, I can guarantee you the people that come to that meetup are not gonna fuck on you, bro. These are actual people that want to come out of the fucking pocket.
If I'm in your space perpetually, I get the thing. Yes, the Jaime Darkey bullshit, like that kind of shit.
Yeah, I understand that, and I wish there was something I could do to smooth.
I'm not saying you have to do anything.
There is something you could do, Paul. You could speak out about it, right? You could. That's what you could do.
Like, I have no power over any fucking thing that when it comes to that.
Well, you have power over yourself, right? Unless you are under an NDA.
No say in it. I can't make a fucking call on it because I'm absurdly fucking unequipped to do that because I wasn't there. And I hate that I will say this and then we'll probably just move on because I really shouldn't.
Sure.
I hate that no legal action ever materialized. Like no cops, no anything. Because and I said it back then when this happened. Fuck, dude. I would just straight out tell people, like, if you are alleging a fucking crime, don't hit go live. Call the police.
Don't wait years.
That's actually going a little further than what we're saying because we're just looking at the evidence and going with what the evidence suggests. Paul here is saying, like, there shouldn't have ever been a stream. You should have called the police, right? What Ben is saying is that he was invited to one of the DFF meetups. That's what I wanted everyone to listen to. If TJ, we'll get into it in a second. Well, I'll just let it play.
Don't do it on Jaime Darkey streams. Like what?
I eviscerated Jaime Darkey.
The last place you'd want to.
Did Paul eviscerate Jaime Darkey?
In the debate he had where he just ignored her.
The kink it pride thing.
Yeah, that's the evisceration he's talking about.
We tried to react to that, and I like bailed on it 20 minutes in. I couldn't hang. It's so bad.
It's awful.
It is really bad.
New allegations.
I don't fucking know, bro. Dude, I woke up. I was literally like at that time, Ben.
That was on my birthday. That was literally the day of my 40th birthday. Is that a coincidence?
I don't know. Dude, like I said, bro. I'm in a position where I have to remain neutral because if it swings one way or the other way, I just can't do it, dude. I don't involve myself.
I'm not asking you. Yeah, I get it.
But I'll let you know that keep my name out of it was at the forefront of my fucking message. You saw the stream I did. It wasn't like a big secret.
It was on my 40th birthday.
I mean, dude, this fucking world that we are all a part of is so fucking weird, bro.
That's your response? That's your response to that? It's like, hey, fucking... I was accused of rape allegations and it's really fucked up. And anytime I try to do anything, like I always get that. Yeah, man, this world's fucking crazy. Let me tell you. You know, I wish I could do more, but I just need to remain neutral for my own financial reasons. Like,
that's all I have. That's all I can say about it, bro.
Yeah.
It's like I don't know what I could possibly add to the fucking conversation. I wasn't in the room when the alleged event.
I'm not asking you. I'm sorry I even brought it up,
I understand you. I understand why you'd be mad about it.
Yeah.
And I get it. I was mad too when I fucking heard how it was handled and where it was handled. It was shady as fuck. Just like Jamie Darkey's name being on anything other than me ponying the fuck out of Jamie Darkey. It shouldn't have happened.
Right.
I did a debate a month or 2 or 3 or 4. I can't remember. It might be longer with Jamie Darkey. Where I just fucking, dude, I didn't talk to you for 8 years because I assumed that there was animosity there. I didn't want to be the dude starting a pot of fucking bad feelings.
There probably was at one point.
Of course,
Like,
yeah.
it's gone now.
I'll be honest, there was. Yeah.
Yeah.
From my side too. Yeah. I mean, we did not get along sometimes. Matters. You know what matters?
Hope so.
We're old men.
Oh my god, bro. Fucking
We're old men.
ancient fucking dude. Bro.
Yes.
Look, it's great. People ask me if I have highlights. I'm like, bitch, no. My hair is fucking going
A lot
great.
of it's in my chest.
Oh yeah, you got great pubes now, great chest hairs. Oh.
ugh, I don't want to think about Paul's gray pubes. Okay, what a way to end the stream. I think we're good. We can call it here. Final thoughts from me, right? It's important that we have a standard for evidence. It's important that we're guided by reason and that we actually do try to do our best to discover what the truth is. Even in questions where we can't know the truth or we don't think we can know the truth, we should still try to look for what we can know, right? There are still aspects of things that we can discover when we use our minds and when we try to really look for evidence. Now, we've looked at a lot of things tonight, and people, if there's anything out there that contradicts what I have here, then please come forward and show me. If there's some piece of evidence I've used that you feel isn't up to par, be vocal about it. You can challenge the things I've said here. You should challenge the things I said here. I don't want you to take anything I've said on faith. I want you to do your own research. There are going to be sources in the description, I'm sure. I'm going to link to the Jeff Holiday stream that I talked about. You can do your own research. You can look into things more. You can reach out. What I want is to kill this religious virus that somehow has taken over, ironically enough, the former Amazing Atheist fan base, where people just believe shit based on whatever they emotionally want to believe in the moment. That needs to end. It's fucking cancer, and it's the last thing that the world needs right now. This is part of that. This is taking this thing that we have here, this accusation, and it's applying our reason to it. And it's saying we're not going to come to a judgment no matter how much we emotionally want to believe something or disbelieve something. We're going to look at it for what it is. We're going to do the best we can to find evidence for it. And we're going to lay out the evidence and see what is suggested by the idea, by what we have, right? That's the best that we can do right now with this situation. We can't know for sure. I would hope that people see this and stop pretending like they know what happened and stop stalking Ben all over the internet with the allegations. I would hope that that happens and that, people are more rational about it. That's what I want from this. Thank you guys for watching. I know that it was heavy topics. It wasn't the type of content maybe that we usually do, but I do feel like it was an important stream to do. I'm sure most of the people who watch me are curious about this in one way or another. Thank you guys for watching. Have a good one.